So good morning, everyone, and welcome to our Q2 2023 system demo. So I'm Jean-Michel Bécard, the head of Portfolio Management Office in EMA, and I will be your host today to go through that system demo, and we will be with you until 1 o'clock. So we will try to get to stick as much as possible to the agenda, so to allow people to join when they are interested in a product. So this session is live stream and is being recorded. So we are inviting everybody who can socialize, who can share the link. So the link will be posted on the corporate website. And then just some advertisement, yes. We will use a Slido during this session, and you will have to approve the consent of the processing of your personal data, as explained in the data privacy for Slido. So just to be mindful of that. So what's a system demo? I think it's our 7th system demo since the beginning of our agile way of working. So it's really the transparency goal of the agency new governance. So you will be demo what has been developed in the past 3 months. So during this program increment, and you can see what happened and what has been delivered. It's also an opportunity for you to give your feedback, and I will explain in detail how to do that via Slido. So you can give a question and you can give your feedback on what you are about to see. And of course, it will be recorded and published, as I already said, on our corporate website. So the next system demo will be in 3 months. We are working on a quarterly cadence, and it will be the 21st of September. So that's an overview of our agenda. So as I said, we are time boxing the demo, and if we are in advance, we will try to make smaller break to make sure we start on time the next demo. So people being interested in one product, they can just join at that time. So we are, and I'm also for all the presenter, making sure you are keeping to your time slot. And then let's go through how to use Slido, how to give feedback and question. So we have a Slido. You can use either the QR code or the code. If you go to slido.com, so the 9116064, and I think there is no password, so you will access directly the Slido page. And you have Q&A and pool. I think you should go to the Q&A. And on the page, you will have a list of room. So each product you will see today have its own room, and this is where you can send your question. So you choose the room, you select the product by selecting the room, and you can enter your questions. And of course, we ask people to upvote the question you want to have an answer. So we will take the most upvoted question first, and so on. The Q&A is really during the time boxing of a demo of a product. So we will do our best to answer as many as we can questions online live, but we will also try to publish later on in the following days. We will try to publish the Q&A on the corporate website with the link of that demo. Then you can also give your opinion or which feature you are the most looking forward to and why. So that you can choose the polls in the room, and you can ask you can give a more detailed feedback. So the Slido will be open until tomorrow 5 p.m. So it means you have time if you have more question or if you want to see the answer, which will be written down in the Slido, you can come back to the Slido until Friday evening. Then you can also share your your thought about that system demo. We have a room which is called the plenary room, and this is where you can leave us 2 or 3 words about what you are thinking about our system demo. And you are welcome to give any of your feedback. So we will start to enter the heart of our system demo. I think we have a little bit of time. I have 5 minutes. So I will leave a little bit the Slido on the screen, so to allow you to be able to connect and to get familiar with the Slido. We'll leave it 2 minutes. Where is the clock? So the first product we will demo this morning is part of the value stream research and development. So I will spend a little bit of time to explain how we have organized the work in the agency, and we have organized the work in value streams. So, and those value streams are organized around the capabilities, around the business process, which makes a consistent process, I would say, or business area. So the research and development value stream is really around the supporting of the development of new medicine and the generation of scientific evidence. We have a value stream owner who is representing the business, making sure the strategy and the prioritization are follow up, and that's the big line and the big directions of the value stream. And Nectaria Valera, who is the value stream manager who manage the teams working in those value stream. And Stephen Lemer is the value stream owner. Today, our first product is the Prime, the priority medicine, and will be demo by Tarita. And I would like to give the floor to Tarita, and you have some second, Tarita, before to be able to go. So over to you, Tarita.
Thank you, Jean-Michel. Good morning, everyone, and welcome to this demo. Today, I'm going to be demonstrating the new development for the research and development value stream for priority medicines. So I'm going to be demonstrating the 3 processes that will go live in July, namely the application for prime eligibility, as well as the transfer and withdrawal of a prime regulatory entitlement. And following that, I will be demonstrating how to look for a case in the network portal. Can you see my screen? Emily?
Yes, we can see your screen, Tarita.
Okay. Okay, thank you very much.
Yeah, you have 1 minute before starting.
Okay.
Yeah, the floor is yours, Tarita. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So I will be starting with the landing page. This is the same both for the applicant portal and the network portal. So when we get to the landing page, first of all, we need to sign in. So in order to create a new submission, we have this submissions tab. We would land in this page, and then we need to create a new submission. So first of all, you need to select if you're applying as an organization or as an individual. Following that, you will need to select your organization, the location from which you are applying for. All these screens will filter, of course, the information available for your organization, and then you need to select the submission type. This process is the same for any submission in the IRIS portal. So for the purpose of this demo, I will select the application for the prime eligibility. Then you click Create and Next. And in this page, you will be prompted to add or remove any managers and contributors that you want for this submission. Once you have done that, you can add using these buttons, you can continue to the submission form. So for the sake of time, I have already created some draft submissions so that we don't waste time waiting for the system to load. So I will be starting with the application for prime eligibility. This is the landing page, and we have these various sections that need to be filled in. Once a section is filled in, you will see a green tick, and that means that it's complete and you can proceed. So we start with the administrative information. First of all, we would require some information on the applicant and any linked organization, linked entity. So the first question relates to whether the applicant is registered as an SME in the SME register. So you have two options, yes and no. If you select no, then you can continue with the linked entity information. If you select yes, you will be prompted to enter the applicant SME registered number. Then we proceed with the linked entity information. You can select yes or no. If it's a yes, then there is a lookup and you can find the company in the list. And then you have the same prompt if the company is an SME or no. If you select no, you can save and return. If you select yes, then you need to enter the SME registered number. In the second page, we need to select the RPI, which is the basis for every submission. So you have a lookup where you can see all the RPIs that are linked to your organization, and then you select the RPI and continue with your application. So once you have selected the RPI, in the product information, you will find here as read-only all the information that is in the RPI record. And in this box, you can add any additional relevant information of the product. If you add this, this will update your RPI record. In the next part, we also have some information on the submission pipeline, which is read-only information from the RPI record. However, if this is not up to date, you can update it in the following section. So you have a question, if this information are up to date. If it's yes, you can continue to the next section. If it's no, then you can update the foreseen date, foreseen legal basis, and you can also state your reasons for changing this forecast. In the last part of this page, you have the option to add enabling technologies, which you can do by clicking on this button, and you can add as many as you like. Then, by saving and return, you go to the next page. We continue with the procedural information. Here we need some information on whether this product already holds an early entry prime designation. In case of yes, you will be asked to enter the prime designation number. If it's no, this section will not appear. Then you are asked if there is a resubmission of a previously denied or withdrawn prime eligibility request. Again, if it's a no, there is no prompt. If it's a yes, then you can type in, this is a free text, so you can type the prime eligibility submission number. And then we require some information on whether you had or not a pre-submission meeting prior to this current submission, and you can enter the details here. And if there was a national scientific advice provided as well with reference to this submission. So you can add the previous advices by clicking on this button and populating this form. And it will appear as this line. Then we have some follow-up questions on whether a breakthrough designation by the FDA has been granted, or if the product is included in other international expedited development pathways. If yes, then you will be asked to provide some details. All the fields with the asterisk are mandatory. We proceed with information on orphan designation. If it's a no, no prompt. If it's a yes, then you will need to choose the orphan designation number. And then some information on a pediatric investigation plan, where again you can enter as a free text the PIP or waiver procedure number, and information on eligibility for the centralized procedure. The next section relates to scientific information. So if you have selected a previous prime designation, this section will be populated with information from the regulatory entitlement that already exists in the system. If this is a new submission, then you will be asked to enter all these fields, so the proposed scope, proposed condition or indication, then you have to select the correct MEDRA code, and then you will have to select all the type of data that support the prime application that are applicable to your request. So these are the 4 options. You can select one or more. Then we have some questions on whether there is a medical device incorporated, and if the medicinal product is co-packaged with a medical device. Here, of course, you can select yes or no according to what is applicable. And a last question on whether the medicinal product is to be used with a companion diagnostic. In the submission notes, you can enter any information that you would like to communicate to the agency related to the submission. This is a free text, so you can enter whatever information you require, and this will appear in the portal side of the EMA. In the next step, you will be asked to upload documents that are relevant to the submission. As you can see here, there are some red lines, and these are some instructions on the name of the document. So you can add files by clicking on the button and searching your local machine, and you can upload as many documents as you want. And then at the end, you have to confirm that you have uploaded all documents that are relevant to the submission. In the documents from EMA folder, you do not need to upload anything, of course, but once the application is received by the EMA, when the EMA wants to share any document with you, this is the section where you would find the documents from the EMA. So once all these sections with the green tick have been completed, then we proceed on submitting an application. I would also like to, in this page, to show you that there is a generate application form button. This button generates an application form like this, and you can use this form for your archiving purposes. This is not used by the European Medicines Agency, but it is only for your archive. So if you want to generate it, you click on this button, and this will appear here in the folder documents from applicant. As a last step, we have to submit the application. So there is a statement that needs to be accepted by you. Once you accept the statement, you click the submit application button, and then you have a prompt either to submit or to review your application. Okay, so once you submit, you can see your application in the ongoing application instead of the draft. So we continue with the next process type, which is the transfer of prime regulatory entitlement. This is a much simpler form because it only relates on transferring the regulatory entitlement from one organization to another. So you do not need to enter all information. So the first you need to do is to select the prime and regulatory entitlement that you want to transfer from one organization to the other. There is a lookup and you will see all the regulatory entitlements that are linked to your organization. And then you need to complete the transfer details. You have the current sponsor details, which is your organization, and then you have to select the new organization where you want the regulatory entitlement to be transferred to. As a last step, you need to confirm this declaration and submit the application as previously. Again, we click on the statement if we agree and submit the application as previously. I will go forward with the withdrawal of prime regulatory entitlement. This is quite similar to the transfer. It's again a very simple form. Here we select the regulatory entitlement as before, same lookup where you see all the regulatory entitlements linked to your organization. Then we would like to know the reasons for withdrawal, as this needs to be approved by the European Medicines Agency. We need some information. So here, this is a mandatory field that you need to state your reasons for withdrawal. You can upload any documents as before that you think that are relevant to your request for withdrawal. And in documents from EMA, you will see any documents that the EMA will share with you following the receipt of the submission. And then we have the usual declaration and submit application at the end. I forgot to mention with regards to the transfer, there is no documents from EMA and there is no approval. The transfer is automatically approved when you submit your application. So I will now go forward with the network portal demonstration. So the login is the same as I have shown before. And in the network portal, we can click on the committee meeting cases. We select the committee that we are interested in seeing the cases for. Then we can look for cases in various ways. So we can either select the meeting and select the case category, in this case prime, and this would show us all the prime eligibility applications that are for discussion at the CHMP in a certain month. Then the same can be done for other committees, of course. For example, you can do the same for the Committee for Advanced Therapies, again, using a filter on a case type instead of the case category and selecting the relevant meeting. And this will show here at the bottom all the procedures. Also, you can open a case number and see all the case details that are relevant for coordinators. So all the start dates, if the status is active, who are the rapporteurs, co-rapporteurs, information on the RPI, and all the meetings where the case is going to be discussed. And you can also search by case number. So you enter the case number and you click on apply, and you will also have a similar result. This concludes the demo for Prime, and the floor is open for any questions.
So thank you very much, Tarita. We have one question already, and we try to go fast because we have only 1 minute left. And the question is the Prime request submission form still required?
No, the Prime request submission form has been replaced by the application form in IRIS. There is no need to upload the submission form there.
So thank you very much. And we still have a little bit of time if we have any more questions. So the answer is no. So the next product, we are still in the research and development value stream. And here we have Katerina Christina, who will talk about or will show us the real world metadata catalogues. And Paolo is with us to support Katerina Christina for in case there are questions. Over to you, Katerina Christina.
Thank you, Jean-Michel. So today we are showcasing the real-world metadata catalogs. Next slide, please. So this product is part of the work to improve data discoverability included in the Big Data Steering Group work plan. The work plan aims to increase the utility of big data in medicines regulation, implementing the 10 priority recommendations of the former Big Data Task Force. And you can find more details about this in the Big Data webpage in the EMA website. Next slide, please. The catalogs will describe real-world data sources and studies through a set of collected metadata to help pharmaceutical companies and researchers identify and use such data when investigating the use, safety, and effectiveness of medicine. The catalog of data sources that is being developed and the catalog of studies will also replace and enhance two databases that were developed more than 10 years ago. The NCEP Resources Database, which is a publicly accessible index of available EU research organizations, networks, data sources, patient registries, which is accessible through the NCEP web portal, and the EU Pass Register, which is a publicly available register of non-interventional post-authorization studies, also accessible through the NCEP web portal. And for those who haven't heard the word NCEP before, it is an initiative that brings together expertise and resources in pharmacoepidemiology and pharmacovigilance across Europe and is coordinated by the EMA. Next slide, please. Next slide, please. So there will be 4 catalogs or 4 parts, and I already mentioned the data sources part in the studies. There will be also 2 supporting parts, the institutions, where we will be collecting metadata to describe any contributor to the catalog, their role and expertise, and also the networks part, where we collect metadata describing networks and consortia linking to institutions and studies in the catalog. All these catalogs or parts will be available in one single interface, as you will soon see in the demo. Next slide, please. Here I will show you a high-level description of the user roles and the user journey. The catalogs will be publicly available and visitors will be able to browse all published content. In order to add content, a user will need to create an account using EU login, which is a 2-factor authentication service of the European Commission. And then the user will become an editor and will be able to add content and manage their content. Editors usually will be data holders that are entering a data source, or study investigators, or contact points of an institution or a network. EMA will have an administrator role, moderating the content submitted and approving it for publication or returning it to the editor for further changes. There will be a workflow with automatic notifications around that it's still work in progress. Next slide, please. The development of these catalogs started in the second quarter of 2023. So we just finished our first quarter and we did monthly sprints and testing rounds. And today I will showcase the features that have been developed in this period. That includes the catalog's landing page, the data entry web form to add, edit data sources, institutions, or networks, and also the dashboard that a logged-in user and editor will be able to see to manage their content. And now, my next slide, I can move on to the demo. Can you see my screen, Emily?
Yes, we can see your screen. You can go on.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. So this is the Catalogues landing page. The branding of the Catalogues is still not finalized. It will likely be branded as EMA, HMA Catalogues. And also the text you see here is only test text at the moment. Through the landing page, you can navigate in the different parts: studies, data sources, institutions, and networks, and also through this blue bar on the top. So now I'm going to navigate to institutions, and this is the landing page of the institutions. And here you can, if you are a logged in user, now I'm already logged in, you can go here and add an institution. When you click add an institution, this is the form that our system is bringing you to, where you have still on the top some text with some links with help. And then it's the form which includes free text fields and also drop-down lists. Under each field, there is also some help text to help the user understand what input needs to be provided. And here you see two fields, which is the institution ID. This is a placeholder for the globally unique and persistent identifier according to the FAIR principles, and the source ID, which is a placeholder for the ID that the database, the catalog, will assign to the record. And usually these will not be available to, normally these will not be available to be filled in by an editor. But now I'm logged in as a webmaster, so that's a little bit different. Mandatory fields are indicated with an asterisk, and it's necessary to fill these in order to save a record. I will quickly create an institution because the form is quite small. Here we have also drop-down lists, and you can see here how this functions. You can search, and you can also add more than one country. The lookups in the catalogs are also included in the referential management system in the EMA. Some of them are still work in progress to be integrated. So you see here information about the type of institution, the role, the website, and then the contact details are also need to be filled in. And then you can save it as a draft, or you can directly submit it. There's also a possibility here to change the authoring information and transfer authorship. There will also be a possibility to add an author, but this is still a work in progress. So if I click save, then after I will go to the dashboard and you will see all my entries. I will now show you briefly the networks. So if I go to the networks, add a network, it's also relatively short form. What you can see here, that is when you are entering a network, you can add here the institutions that are part of the network, and you can select from the institutions that are already inserted in the catalog, and if it's not something available, you can add it as a free text. The data sources form, also you go to data sources, add the data source. This is a little bit more extensive. It has 4 steps that need to be completed, and for each step, the mandatory fields need to be completed in order to move to the next, but it's possible to save as a draft midway and then come back and fill in the rest of the information. You can see here how links can be added. You can add here, for example, any publications related to the data source. You can add the URL, and normally we'll ask for a DOI for a publication. And here we'll change a little bit the label to make it more understandable. It's the title that you wish to appear. And I will show you how this will look when we display a record. So now the studies part is not yet developed, but I am now, as I mentioned, a logged in user, and I'm going to go to my account to show you how the dashboard of an editor looks like. So you can see here all the content. And you can also sort by content type, the title, update, last date plus update, status, which is published or unpublished, and the moderation stages, which can be published, draft, submitted, published, returned, etc. I will open now a sort. You can see by, for example, data source. You can also see an institution that I just entered, and it's as draft. And I will now open a data source so that you can see how the record looks like. So when I open a data source, this is how it is displayed, also to external visitors that browse the catalog. You can see the title, you can see when it was first registered, when it was the record last updated, and here the data source type, so that you can see this information at a quick glance. Then you can see the different sections of the data source. You can see how the publications look like when you include the name and the link. And you can also see here studies. These are studies that are included in the catalog that have been conducted using this data source. And these are inputted through the studies part. So when you're in the future entering a study, you will be able to link to the data source. And then when you display the data source, you can see it here linked. So there is a cross link between the different parts of the catalog. So you can navigate, as I mentioned, in the different sections of the data source. You can see here many questions about the data source, whether it covers certain, includes certain type of information, yes or not, quantitative descriptors, data flows management, includes information about governance details, and in each section you can also navigate in the subsections using these links or by scrolling. And you can also download as a PDF an entry and have it as a PDF. As an editor, apart from the view, you also have this edit button here and the revisions, so you can go and edit this record and see the revisions. Now I'm going to show you how a visitor can view all the data sources that are included in the catalog. So you navigate to data sources, and this is similarly done to institutions and networks. You navigate to any of these parts. You have this button here, it says see all data sources, and you can click it here, and here you have an overview of all the data sources included in the catalog. And you can also sort, different options to sort this list. And yeah, there are some visual details here that need still to be improved. And from this page, you can also export the results in the CSV, which the CSV will include all the fields for each data source, but this is still work in progress. Also, you see that here the system brings you to the search view, but this is also something that is yet it's still under development. So this was the last thing I wanted to show, and over to you, Jean-Michel. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Katarina. So we have one question, and we'll try to go quickly because we have only 1 minute left. So the question is, would institution end up to be stored and maintained in OMS? So basically the SPOR integration.
Yes, thank you. So at the moment, there is no, we don't envisage to add the institutions at this moment in OMS. Also, we don't intend to master institutions in this catalog. As I mentioned, it's only a support part in order to facilitate the studies part and the data sources part. But this is something that might be considered going forward in the future, but not for the first release of the catalogs.
So thank you very much. And I think we are just on time to move to the next value stream. Question will keep coming, so make sure you keep an eye on your Slido. And now we are moving to the product lifecycle management value stream. Here we are around capabilities managing the authorization and the lifecycle of the medicinal products and of certain medical device. So the value stream owner being Carl Hamilton, and the managers are Melanie Loveday and Hannes Kulovditz. And the first product in this value stream to be demoed today is the electronic application form. And I will hand over to Christina. Thank you very much, Christina. Over to you.
Thank you, Jean-Michel. We can go to the next slide, please. So for this quarter, we had a very ambitious list of objectives to improve the forms that are already in production. So here, just a very quick reminder, we went live on 4th of November last year with the variation form for human products, and the initial scope was just for centralized procedure. Since then, we have been working to improve the forms already in production and wider the scope that the forms can be used for. So we have delivered improved communication. So we have implemented a couple of tiles on the PLM portal itself, so you can read news and guidance materials directly from that PLM portal. We have also started work on enabling cloning and copying of previously filled in application forms. And this is a really, really important feature which will enable the reuse of already selected data for another procedure or for another application. So this is something that is very keenly awaited by the applicants. So the work is ongoing well. We were so very close to be able to demo you in live today the clone variation scopes, which again is cloning the scope for a variation where you have grouped variations, where you're selecting the same classification multiple times. Unfortunately, we had some environment sync issues at the very last minute, which prevents us to demo this live, but I've got a slide to show you later. Similarly, with the add new presentation, which is something that will enable us to extend the use of this variation form for almost all types of procedures now. Again, due to a last-minute environment issue, I can't demo this live, but it is working. I can say it's working well on the lower environments, but they're not stable enough to do a live demonstration. Other things that we wanted to deliver is to increase the performance of the system. Unfortunately, we haven't been able to make a significant difference, but this is something that we are continuously working to make the user experience better. And then, of course, one of our main big ticket items was to release the nationally authorized products into the variation form. But there we have a very high dependency on the PMS go live. And unfortunately, there was a slight issue detected with the split of the centrally authorized products in the UAT environment earlier this month, and we had to postpone our webinar training on how to use the NAPs in the system. But Marcus will explain more when we come to the PMS demo on that. But we can move to the next slide. Here you can see the feature for the clone variation scope. So when you are in the section of types of changes, adding the variation classifications, so you have added the variation and then you move into adding the selecting the procedure type and the other details. You now have this new drop-down menu where you can select option copy scope. You can use this option as many times as needed. So for example, if you have a grouping that contains the same scope, let's say 5 times, you no longer need to go through the whole add scope section, adding details individually, but you can simply clone the scope, and you can then, of course, if needed, go into each selected scope and edit it in case there are any notes, for example, or if certain conditions are not met. So this is really a convenience feature that we have been waiting for quite a while. Then if we move to the next slide, so here comes our add package. Here. So in here, if we go back there, so this is the present and proposed section. So you have selected your product. So the medicinal product is already selected. And then here in highlighted, you can see the add package button. So this is a new button that we have added. When you click to that button, this new pop-up appears. And in the pop-up, you can select from a drop-down list the parent medicinal product as displayed in the above screenshot. You will then enter the MA number, which you have received from EMA through the service desk ticket, which is an existing procedure. We haven't changed that. And then you include the details on the pack size. You click submit. Then if we move to the next slide, you will see these packages added into the list. So here I have repeated this step 3 times, and on the top right hand side, the lower part of that screenshot, you can see there are all of those packaged medicinal products have got authorization status pending, and that indicates that we have just added them. Then I've also added a screenshot of the product selection screen where you can also see those new pending entries, and this is the section in the web form where it will be filled into the PDF in section 2. So I just wanted to show that. So it's working great. We're super excited, and hopefully we'll be able to release these features in production very soon. Then if we move to the next slide, we have few other things that we have already delivered in this increment. So we have enabled a search of the EU orphan designation using the EU designation entitlement number. Next slide, please. We have also added the ATC code group, which is now also displayed on the PDF. So just minor changes that we have implemented, but I just wanted to show you that we have been working very hard to make the form better for you. We can move to the next slide. Also, we have added some important validation rules into the procedural information section, so that this is simply to remind you that there are fields that are mandatory to be filled in, and having these mandatory rules implemented will help us to ensure that when you send us the application, they are as complete as possible, and we don't need to request any further comments during the validation phase, or we don't need to recheck the applications because there's important information missing. You can move to the next slide. Here we've also fixed a validation error which was causing a lot of confusion. If you had added the implementation date in the incorrect format, you got a message that the selection of products and the procedure type is not allowed. The message was incorrect. Everything else was functioning as expected, but we have corrected now the validation error here. We can move to the next slide. And here is just a list of user stories and bug fixes that we have also delivered. Unfortunately, these are not easy to demo. These have all been already implemented in the portal, but there are various different kind of fixes. Some of them are on the background, some of them are in the front end, but they really are just there to help you to use the system better. I won't go through them in detail because we have limited amount of time, and I also wanted to very quickly demonstrate the first bit that I mentioned earlier, which is indeed the news item publication in the portal itself. So Emily, I will share my screen now. There. I hope you can see my screen.
Not yet, not yet. It's
Not
coming.
yet.
It's yes, now it's on. Yeah.
Excellent. So here,
Thank you.
this is the PLM portal production environment. And here, just a very important note, when you are working on the forms, when you are filling in the forms, please always check that you're using the production version of the portal. So the URL is plm-portal. We do receive some forms that have been filled in the UAT environment, but we do not recommend using that environment. So it's very, very important to ensure that you are working in production. But then into what I wanted to show you. So these two tiles here, we have added a tile for news, and here you will have always the latest news. So this is very much similar to the content on the eSubmissions website, but here you can always see the latest news without having to go to another website. Additionally, we have this guidance and support tile where you have now direct links from the website into our webinar and system demos, for example. So the recordings will be available here and are already available here. So this is something that we keep on improving. We keep on adding and updating this content, but this is our new way of giving you information and access to documents directly from the PLM portal itself. And as more products, such as the product UI and EPI will be added here, they will also have their own information and news tiles in here, as you will hear later today in this system demo. I will stop here and I will stop sharing in case we have received any questions. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Christina. Yes, we have a lot of questions for you. So I think the first one with 6 votes, so I think many people are interested in the answer. Would the pending package just added in the form be registered in PMS and down to XVMPD, or should the new package be submitted to XVMPD upon approval and then sync with PMS? I think
that's it's a good question indeed. So once we launch this feature, we'll of course add further details, but upon approval of the variation of adding a new package, of course, we add those details into SciMed, which is our case management system. And from there, then they will be synced into PMS. But of course, the existing process of submitting XEVMPD updates is still there. We will add more details when we go live with this so that there is no ambiguity which processes will stay in place and which can be discarded as a result of implementing these features. I hope that very vague answer will help you for now, and we'll launch further details.
Oh, thank you, Christina. Then there is this question about the dependency of PLM with PMS Go Live. The PMS records migrated at the right granularity PMS ID, PC ID, or the minimal 15 fields to allow product selection, all the PMS field for structure changes. So yes, it's about the dependency with PMS. Yeah.
Indeed. So there is a dependency with the PMS Go Live because the nationally authorized products will come from PMS into the portal. So we need PMS Go Live before we can display these products in the PLM portal. So as you may be aware, the products that we currently are displaying in the PLM portal EAF are those centrally authorized products that are coming directly from SciMed. We are currently running an exercise where we are doing a split of products to have the correct IDMP format in them, and then we will match and merge those details from XEVMPD, and then we also enrich these details, these products with data coming from XEVMPD. So, but I believe this question may be better answered by Marcos when he goes to his PMS presentation.
Thank you very much, Christina. So then the question about who will validate the synchronized data from NAPS in PMS?
So this is a procedural question, so I won't take this question because it's not directly linked into the EAF itself. So we will respond to this in writing after the demo. Thank you.
Thank you. And I think let's take still one more question. Will the issue with the synchronization in PMS cause a delay in the published timeline for EAF PLM, especially with the plan UAT in Q4 2023?
That's a very good question. And I would have to say that we are foreseeing a slight delay in the go live with the NAPS products through the PLM portal. This is because the run of the nationally authorized products, because there are so many, it will take approximately 3 weeks. We need to do a test run first in a lower environment to ensure that the system is working as expected, and only then we can start running the run into production. So there will be a minor delay. We will be launching communication after the next week's PI planning event, where we will have more clear timelines for the go live, and if there is any impact to the UAT, which is planned for end of this year. I think we're out of time now, so I'll hand over back to Jean-Michel, and we'll respond to the rest of the questions in writing.
Thank you very much, Christina. Yeah, exactly what I wanted to say. We will answer as we can, as much as we can in writing. And now, as we saw, we have many dependency with PMS, so we give the floor to Marco, who will demo what happened in PMS. Over to you, Marcos.
Yeah, thank you, Jean-Michel. So if I can have the next slide. Yeah, as you can see here, these are the achievements that we have achieved during this quarter. So we are aiming to go into production with all the different features for the migration of data from XCVMPD by the end of this quarter, beginning of next quarter. So what we have achieved is the split of products from Sciamed. That is part of the demo that I will give you today. We have also done the XCVMPD data migration and also achieved the XCVMPD deltas in UAT. We are doing the final check, so we are sure that everything is correct. We don't have any issues, so we can plan the go live into production. One of the achievements that we have also done this quarter is the design of the PMS API security and access management. We need to work a bit more on that during Q3. We want to put everything in place, make sure that all the security and the access management in PMS is correct. And then, if possible, we also want to make a UAT and check that the system-to-system connection is properly established. For the demo today in relation to PMS, what I would like to show you is how the split products from Sciamed. So we have, in the different webinars that we have done, we have always talked about these split products or specific products in Sciamed that we need to split because they are not following, they are not IDMP compliant for the moment in the system. So if we go to the next slide, there you have the example that we always provide is the iMobic product. So as you can see right now in the system in PMS, we have the structure coming from Sciamed. We have two medicinal products, only one for the 70 milligrams strength and the other one for the 140. Both of them have their respective presentations, but this is not following IDMP because based on IDMP, the name, it's defining element of the medicinal product. So what we have to do is to split each of those products into two because we will have the iMobic 70 milligram solution for injection in pre-filled pen with two presentations, and we will have another one with the pre-filled syringe with only one presentation, and the same would happen with the one for 140 milligrams. So what are we doing to split those products into the system? We have already two products in PMS. What we will do is we will create new products, so the ones that you can see on the right side of the table. The products that were already in PMS will be nullified, and the relevant presentations will be created under each of the new products that we have created. Once we have done that, the data from XCVMPD will be merged with these new created products. So you will be able to see the name as in XCVMPD, and you will be able to see more information from XCVMPD. So I will share my screen So what I wanted to show you here is how the API, this is the UAT PMS API, where we have the loaded all the different products from Sciamed. We also have done this split. So what I have actually done is look for all the products we have from Imovic. You can see here that if I search for the different medicinal products, we have 6 different medicinal products. I have already done the extract of the information because I want to save time. So you can see here that I have 6 different medicinal products related to Imovic, and this is the name of those medicinal products. You can see that I have the one with only solution for injection, but I also have the one with pre-filled syringe and the one for pre-filled pen, and the same happens on the 140 milligrams. I will show you only one strength. I will focus on this strength for 70 milligrams. So if I open this product, which is the solution for infusion, you can see here that this is the PMS ID that we have. If I search by the product name on this medicinal product, you can see that we are having the name as you have it right now in the PLM portal. This name is coming from Sciamed. It's a concatenation of the name, the strength, and the dosage form, the authorized dose form. If I also look for the status of this medicinal product, sorry, you can see here, this is the status of the medicinal product. You will be able to see this is the RMS ID coming from this list. I have also made a screenshot so you can see here that the 5007, it's a nullified product. That is correct. So based on what we said, the products that were already in the in PMS are going to be nullified because we will create 2 new products based on the split that we have done. So if I now go, I can also show you if I search here by PRD, so the EV code, you will see that there is nothing. That means that I have not migrated any data from XCDMPD in this record here. If I now go, for example, to the 70 milligram solution for injection in pre-filled syringe, and I open this one, you can see here that this is the PMS ID of this medicinal product. We can search for the status of this product, and you can see here the value in this case is 5004. You can see it here. I have also made a screenshot from RMS. In this case, I have a current status of this medicinal product. I can also search by PRD, and in this case, I have one. Let me see if I have more. No, I have only one EV code coming from XCDMPD. What I have also done is I've made a screenshot of the UAT environment from XCDMPD, and you can see that this PRD ending in 72 is this one, which is the Imovic 70 milligram solution for injection in pre-filled syringe. So you can see here that I have migrated this presentation under this medicinal product, and it's also, let's say, merged with the data that we have from XCDMPD. I can also search by the product name. In this case, you can see here that I have the full name as coming from, in this case, XCDMPD. Let me go now to the other one. So in this case, is the 70 milligram solution for injection in pre-filled pen. You can see here that I have the name as coming from XCDMPD. You have it here. This square here, we need to check what is the problem, because in the API it shows correctly, but here when I use this software, there is a problem presenting this name, but in principle the name is correct. I can also search by the status as we did before. We have 5004, which you can see here, it's a current product. And I can also search by the PRDs. In this case, you see we have 8074, this one. and 8067, which is this one. So this is to show you how we are migrating, how we are splitting the products, how we have nullified the former products that we had in PMS, and how we are now migrating the data and the presentations as we have them in XCVMPD into PMS. So I will stop here the presentation for PMS. This is what we wanted to show you in this system demo. I guess there will be some questions, so I think we have 5 minutes to cover those questions.
Thank you, Marcos. Yes, you have many questions, in fact. So let's go to Slido to see. So the first one is about once the data is migrated to PMS, where will be a synchronization back to XVMPD. However, once enrichment starts, or for cases of different granularity between PMS and XVMPD, split merge, how the synchronization will work? That's a good question.
Yeah. So yes, indeed. So yeah, there will be a synchronization. So any change that is performed in XCVMPD will be synchronized with PMS. In Chapter 7, you have the business rules that we have applied for the migration of data from XCVMPD into PMS. The same rules will apply to what we call the deltas from XCVMPD to PMS. So if we are grouping products because we are, let's say, taking into account different data elements from XCVMPD, this same rule will apply to the delta from XCVMPD to PMS. So we will take into account the same granularities, the same business rules that we have applied for the initial migration of data. So yeah, you have more information on chapter 7, but if there is any question, you can always raise questions on the webinars that we perform on also via ServiceNow.
Thank you very much, Marcos. Then we have the next question about the testing of the API. So how the vendor should connect with the PMS team, or should only go through industry?
Yeah. Yes, so we are working now. One of the features that we have for next quarter is the PMS API read access. We will plan to have different UATs with different stakeholders. We have a group of SMEs that is established representing the industry association and also NCAs. So we will discuss with them which is the best way to organize a UAT. We will announce if we need additional stakeholders to provide feedback and to give us support on the UAT. We will provide more information. For the moment, we have not discussed that. We will discuss this first with the SMEs, and then if we need to open a call for interest or something like this, it will be done via the different paths that we have at EMA.
Thank you very much, Marcos. Then we have a question about the enrichment, correction, and variation process. The main steps are likely to be submit, review, update, and approve, validate. Who will be in charge to update the data? Industry always as data owner, or NCA sometimes as data steward? Oh,
yeah. That's also a good question, and this is also under discussion with the network PO, and also it's something that we will discuss during this year. We also need to discuss which is the process, how enrichments, corrections, variation, etc., and are handled not only through the product UI but also through the PMS API. So there are a lot of discussions ongoing. The same discussions as who will update the data, who is going to be in charge of the validation of the data. All these questions will have to be answered during the different PIs that we have, as well as we will be developing the different features. So the product UI enrichment, product UI corrections, which is the process behind how to validate, verify the data. All this information will be provided when we are able to have more information on those features and those processes.
Thank you very much, Marcos. Then the current timeline for the PMS go live. That's a very interesting because I guess you have so many different parts. It's not only
Yes,
one
so
date.
actually PMS is already live. We already have centrally authorized product data in PMS, and you can see them through the PLM portal. And for those who have centrally authorized products, you are already using them in the EAF, the variation EAF. So it's live. Now the question on when the NAPs are going to be released, we are finalizing the UAT tests that we need to perform before going into production. This is currently happening right now. We need to receive the final feedback, and if everything goes well, we will go into production as soon as possible. As we have already said in the different webinars, we will announce when we start loading the XVMPD data into PMS. And we will also announce when the EAF team is going to take this data into the PLM portal and when all the products have been migrated finally into PMS and the PLM portal. So please bear with us. We are in the final steps to verify that everything is correct. And if everything is correct and there is no bugs or there is nothing that we need to fix, this will happen very soon.
Thank you very much. So we are a little bit over 10 past 10. We have planned for a break, but I can also propose Marcos to answer at least one more question. So
Yes.
about the list of PMS post-migration activity for industry be released with a proposed data operation. So will it be available or through ServiceNow or using the UI API when possible? So it's the post-migration activity for the industry.
So there are no specific data after data migration activities. What we propose is that once we have announced that all the products coming from XVMPD have been loaded into the PLM portal, that you can go there, check that your products are there, that you can compare maybe with the products you have in XVMPD. And in case you have any issue, you are not able to see different products, or maybe some products have a wrong structure or something like this, you will need to go into chapter 7, check which are the rules for the migration, and check why maybe you have a different structure in the PLM portal. That might be because there is a data quality issue in XMPD that you need to fix. Maybe you don't have any problem and your products have been migrated correctly without any doubt. We will also make different clinic sessions together with the EAF team. So there you can also go and ask different questions that you might have because maybe you don't see your products. So we won't really, we are not going to really publish any post-migration activities, but you will have different ways to contact us and ask different questions if there is any problem with your products.
Thank you very much, Marcos. So I propose we answer the rest of the question as much as possible in writing, and we take 2 minutes break, so we can have a technical break, and we are coming back in 2 minutes, and it will be again Marcos anyway. So see you in 2 minutes.
Je ne suis pas sûre de...
So welcome back, everyone. And we are moving to the product user interface with Marcos. So over to you,
Yes.
Marcos.
Thank you again. So if I can have the next slide. So these are the achievements for the product UI during Q2. So what we have done during this quarter, we have built different view pages of the product UI. Just a caveat here, we need to still make some improvements. We have identified a couple of bugs that we still need to solve, but we have advanced pretty much with the view pages of this product UI, and this will be the focus on the system demo today. What we have also done, we have started with the design of the edit pages of the product UI. So we have done the design of most of the pages. We are still working on this feature. It's not a simple feature because there are different elements into the edit pages. But we are happy with the progress that we have achieved so far, but there is still work that we need to do during the next quarters. What we have also done is the design the security and access management of the product UI. Here, together with the SMEs, we have identified the different user roles that we would need to have for the product UI, not only for industry, but also for NCAs. And therefore, we have also started building those different user roles for industry, NCAs, and also for EMA. So what I will be showing you today in this system demo is the product UI, the view pages that we have developed so far. I will also walk through you through the exports, the different exports that we have, how we can search different products, and yeah, I think I am good to share my screen and show you how the product UI looks like. So as you already know, because we have already shown this product UI in other system demos, this is the this is the PLM portal. Here you also have the the EAF. You will also have here EPI. But here in the product data management, you depending on your role, you will have like view my organization products. If you are a industry user or an NCA, we will be able from EMA to see all the different products. So that will depend on the role that you have been assigned. The landing page will look something similar like this, where we have the different products. This is the UAT environment. So for the moment, we only have around 5,000 entries. We will have different ways to search for different medicinal products. I can search by the full name. If I know the PMS ID, I will be able to search by the ID, the applicant, the active substance or countries. If, for example, I want to search for the, here this is the list coming from RMS. So I can either search by this and I can say, okay, give me all the products with a gastro-resistant tablet, but I can also tell the system, okay, I also want maybe tablet, and I have here a filter for all the RMS terms that contain the word tablet. So I want the gastro-resistant tablets and the film-coated tablets. So in this case, this is an AND filter. So I want the gastro-resistant tablets or film-coated tablet, one of both. So here you can see that I have different records. I can navigate and I can see all the records that are under my profile with a gastro-resistant tablet or a film-coated tablet. I have an option to download all this information into an Excel. I can open this here so you can see how this would look like. Here you can see that I have all the information that is stored right now in in the PLM portal, the table that you consider. So you will have the PMS IDs, the names, the authorized dose forms. So you here see that I have film coated tablets and gastro-resistant tablets. Here I also have this one because it contains this information. Here I have the different holders with the MA numbers, the active substances. So you have a lot of information already. You would have a list of all your medicinal products that fulfill the criteria that we have assigned in the filters. So what I want to do right now is I will reset the filter because I want to see all my products, and I will show you actually one product that we have created. So it's Metalize. In this case, for example, I can search here which are the products that fulfill this metal as a full name. And in this case, I want to show you this specific product because we have I want to thank you, Joseph from the former data focus group, because he has helped us a lot with the generation and the compilation of the data to be able to create a fake product that we can show in the system demo. So just a caveat here to make sure that all the data that you are going to see in the system demo for this specific product, it's fake. We have tried to just select random manufacturers, for example, that you can see. Some of the data is, which is public data, can be correct. That is because it's public data, but the confidential data, such as ingredients and the strength, the manufacturers, etc., is not real data. So if we compare the system demo that we provided last time, you can see that we have made some changes on this left navigation panel. Now it looks a bit nicer, more intuitive, with the different sections for the medicinal product, for the packaged medicinal product, and also for the pharmaceutical product with the different sections. I will walk through these different sections that we have. So what you can see here is that in the medicinal product section, we have here the name, the full name. We also have the PMS ID and the authorization status of this specific product. What we also have is, in this case, we can collapse the left navigation panel. We will only show you the icons, but we can also expand it if you want to have this information visible, so you know in which section you are. If you want to navigate, knowing the seeing here the text, this is something that can be adjusted as you want. So what do we have in the medicinal product page? Here we have different data elements like the PMS ID and the MPID, the domain, the type. We have the medicinal product name. In this case, here you can see that the name is shown a bit weird. We know we have a bug in this specific section because the name is not showing properly. But if I click here on the full name, you will be able to see the different parts of the name. In this case, I have 3 entries. I have the strength, the pharmaceutical dose form, and the invented name part. And this is already split as it's coming. In this case, it would come from XMPD, but at some point it will be just split it in the product UI. In case there are medicinal products with more than one name, you would see here the different names. You will have to populate also the language and the country, but you will see here the different names for the medicinal product. What else do we have? We have the legal status of supply, the authorized dose form, or the combined pharmaceutical dose form, if it's used for pediatrics or not, the EURD ID, and also if it requires additional monitoring or not. All these fields are coming also from Chapter 2 of the EUID, so we have just divided different fields in different sections. We have also implemented different accordion views on the product UI. Here you see that, for example, we can expand all these sections at the same time, or we can just collapse them and open them one by one. Some of the fields are obviously empty because we don't have data, like, for example, the orphan designation. In this case, we don't have any orphan designation for this product, so this would be empty. But we have, for example, information on the product classification. We have the ADC codes. We also have the ADC name, and one of the fields from the from chapter 2 of the UIG is the ADC code, the flag, which is in this case is no. We have the legal basis and the GMOs as well. We also have, for example, the pharmacovigilance related information, the PSMFL, the UPhV, and the pharmacovigilance increase information. We have created this specific section here on the medicinal product page, so we store all the information related to pharmacovigilance. For the moment, the rest of the information is blank. We don't have any document attached, and we don't have any product reference for the moment. Then we have also developed the marketing authorization information page. In this case, we have all the information related to the marketing authorization. We have the type, the marketing authorization number, country of authorization, authorization status and dates. We have the international birthday, the MA holder, the regulator. We have all this information. And we also have information related to the procedure. In this case, it's a centralized procedure with this CP number, and we are in this case missing these fields, but this at some point will be populated. Something important to I would like to emphasize is that we are still working on these view pages. So, for example, you now see that this data might be a bit messy because we are not able to differentiate this section from the marketing authorization procedure section. We will have a feature as part of the Agile governance to improve the layout. We will try to make tables so everything looks nicer and it's more intuitive, and you can have a better understanding of the data that you have. If I go to the therapeutic indication section here, you will have the METRA code of the different indications, but also you will have the name. So let's say the description of this METRA code. As part of the therapeutic indication, we have two additional fields in PMS. We have the comorbidity. In this case, you will be able to see that we have two comorbidities, and also the intended effect of for this specific METRA code, which in this case is therapeutic. So this is the section where you will have all the therapeutic indication information. In the next section, you will see that we have the manufacturers and the ingredients. We have built these two pages to store all the data related to manufacturers and to the ingredients that will be used in the following section. So you know that, for example, the ingredients should be used in the manufacturer items, but also should be used in the pharmaceutical product. So here we have the section of ingredients where all the ingredients are stored, and the main data is here, and the same for manufacturers. Let's go to the manufacturers one. You can see here that we have different manufacturers with the name, the address, the org ID, and also the log ID. And if we open the different manufacturers, you can see that we have the operation type. In this case, is the quality control testing of the medicinal product. We have different dates, the confidentiality indicator. We will have additional information. We know that we also have a bug in this page because, for example, for this manufacturer that we have included, we have the same operation type included more than one time. So we need to fix this bug, but I think it's important for you to see how, for example, the data for the manufacturers would look like. Also important, what we have implemented in the manufacturer section, and we think it's really important for industry, is an option to download the data related to manufacturers. So in this case, what you will be able to see is all the manufacturers that are linked to your medicinal product. In this case, you have the name with the address, log ID, etc., and the different operation types with the dates, the confidentiality indicator. Maybe if we take this manufacturer, you will be able to see all the data that we have in the system. So as we said, we know we have to fix a couple of bugs that we have in this section, but I think it's really nice that you can see and that you are aware that you will be able to export in an Excel format all the information that we have stored or you have stored for manufacturers in this section. So this would be the manufacturer section. If we go to the ingredient section, here we would have the different ingredients. We have the excipients and the active substances. If we expand the different ingredients, you will be able to see the substance code coming from SMS, the substance type. If there is any manufacturer stored for this specific substance, it will be here. We can see maybe in the active substance that we have the substance code, and we have the manufacturer with the operation type manufacturer of the active substance. So that's the information that we have in this section. We also have the certificate master file. So if you have any ASMF for this specific manufacturer for this specific substance, it will be stored here. The only problem, and this is also a bug that we have implemented a download option here, so you will be able to export the information of ingredients the same way it was available for manufacturers, but for the moment it's not working, so I am not able to show this feature of the system, but it will be implemented at some point. So this is the information that you have for the medicinal product. If we go to the I will jump to the pharmaceutical product. So here what you can see is the different pharmaceutical product in case you have different pharmaceutical products, or if only one, then you will be able to see here the information that is stored. You will be able to see that this is the solution for injection, that the unit of presentation is the syringe, and you will have here a description. In this case, we don't have anything, and the language of the description. If we expand the information on the pharmaceutical product, you will be able to see the route of administration. You need to include something here. Then the different ingredients, you will be able to see here the strength. In this case, for example, is 50 milligrams per 1 lyophilizate. We have here the polysorbat 20, we have 1 milligram in 1 lyophilizate. So you have here all the information of the strength. What you also have in the pharmaceutical product section is the devices that are linked to this pharmaceutical product. In this case, we have an administration device, which is a pre-filled syringe, and we have one pre-filled syringe class 1, and the manufacturer is this one. And then we have some information related to this syringe if we expand this section. So this is the pharmaceutical product section. As you can see, is quite simple. It contains a lot of information because it contains all the information of ingredient in devices, but it's quite a simple page that you can refer to see the pharmaceutical product. Now, one of the most complex sections that we have is the packaged medicinal product section overall, with the different sections that are part of this page. Here we have only, let's say, included one presentation for this medicinal product. So you can see here the MA number of this presentation, which is the presentation of 1 vial plus 1 syringe. At some point, it will contain the PCID of this presentation. There will be a package description and also a language. Here you can see the different data carriers, data carrier identifiers that we have for the for this specific presentation. This is data that a field that you can see also in the EUIG of PMS. Something important as well on this packaged medicinal product is the shelf-life and storage conditions for this specific presentation. So in this case, you can see that we have shelf life of 2 years, and the storage conditions are to keep the container in the outer carton in order to protect from light, do not store above 30 degrees. So you have all the information here about shelf life and storage conditions that, as you may already know, based on the data model, is linked to each specific packaged medicinal product. So these are the different presentations that packages that we have, and then we can have different information on the marketing authorization information for those packages. In this case, we have here the marketing authorization for this specific presentation. The authorization status is valid, and this is the authorization status date. Here you will have the information on the marketing status. For the moment is empty, but at some point we will have information here. If we go to the package items, here we also have a bug because we are duplicating the entries. We need to fix this bug, but in this section you will be able to have all the granularity of the presentation. So in this case you have one box which is a container. Oh, sorry. If you, no, I don't want to do that. If you expand this section of the box, you know that you have a vial and you also have a pre-filled syringe. And then if we expand the vial, you know that you have one stopper and one container and also one cap. Then we have, again, there is a bug. We are duplicating the entries. But it's important for you to maybe see how this data is going to be stored here. If we want to see the information, for example, on the pre-filled syringe, I can also click here and I will have all the materials of this pre-filled syringe. In this case is this material. We also have the information of the manufacturer, of the manufacturer item. In this case is the syringe. And I will have the information of who is the manufacturer of this manufacturer item. In this case, it's empty, but at some point we will have information in this section. If we continue, we have the manufacturers that are linked to the different presentations. Here you have, for this specific presentation, the manufacturers with the different operation types. I'm not going to spend a lot of time here because you have already seen the manufacturer section. Here we are just saying, okay, from this general section on the manufacturers, in this specific presentation, these manufacturers apply. Then we have also the information about the manufacturer items. In this case, we have two. We have a solution for injection, and we have a powder for solution for injection. The description, and if we expand this, we have the ingredients for this manufacturer item. In this case, it's the solution for injection, so it's just water. And we also have a bug here that we need to fix on the reference strength. And in the powder, in this case, we would have the different ingredients as well with the strength. In the active substance, we also have the manufacturer with the manufacturer operation start date, end date. So we have all the information stored here. I want to give time for questions, so I will go to the last section where we have the medical devices. So in this case, we have these medical devices. We have the administration device, co-packed, the syringe, the needle. So we have all the information that can be stored in relation to the medical device. This section is still under discussion. We need to understand how the data is going to be displayed here, which is the data that we are going to capture based on the chapter 2 of the UIG. So yeah, this is mainly what we have developed for the product UI, which is a lot, as you can see. We want to also, we have asked help to the SMEs, and as I said before, Joseph, for example, has helped a lot providing information to create a fake product so we can understand how a full medicinal product would look like in the product UI. So we can also show you how this would look like in the future. So I will stop here. I think we have 5 minutes for questions. So over to you. Michelle.
Thank you very much, Marcos. So I think we have many questions for you again on this product. So the first one is about will the product UI allow some bulk update, like change of UPhV for all products under the same marketing order or the same country?
Yes, that's the idea. The idea is that, for example, at some point, QPPV, PSMFLs, etc., are managed through the product UI, and we know that when a company changes the QPPV, it's done for mainly the full portfolio or a lot of products. So the idea is to allow bulk updates on the product UI. Yes.
Oh, thank you very much, Marcos. Then we have a question about the timeline and when it's expecting from industry to use those features, optional use or mandatory use. And
yes, so as you can see, for the product UI, there are still some bugs that we need to fix in order to release the view pages of the product UI. We are trying to work this quarter to make them ready to also have the user roles in the product UI. We also want to perform a UAT, a beta UAT, because we want to have feedback from the from industry, from NCAs, etc., on the view pages. So we are right now not in a position to say when we will release the view pages of the product UI. We want to first solve all the issues that we have, run a UAT, and implement any feedback that we can receive from this UAT. Obviously, for the view pages of the product UI, there will not be optional use or mandatory use. If you want to use it, it's fine. It's just to see the data that we have stored in PMS for your product. Now we need to discuss, and this will come in the future, when the edit pages will be released with all the processes behind the product UI, how to update products, how to create new products. All these activities will have to be discussed. So in the near future, we need to focus on the view pages, and these are the different steps that we want to follow for the moment. So solve the issues that we have, UAT, implement the changes, and then release the UI.
thank you very much, Marcos. Then we have a question about the features such as download be associated to a specific access role as part of PMS roles. So
yes, so this is a question that we will raise maybe tomorrow with the SMEs, because as you can see, there is a way to download confidential data, which is the manufacturer's data. So we need to understand if this option should be available to everybody who has access to the product or only to a specific role. The idea is that the list of products, so the first export that I did, could be done by anybody. But when we go into the product and it is related to export confidential data, we need to discuss with the SMEs.
thank you very much, Marcos. Maybe we'll take the last question before to move on the next product. So here there is, I saw the previous question about IRIS versus PLM. So there is, if you can clarify the difference between IRIS and PLM and how this is now linked to marketing status reports submitted in IRIS.
Yeah, so that's a good question. We are in contact with the IRIS team for the marketing status to make sure that we don't duplicate submissions, that we can show the data from marketing status and then how the data from marketing status is going to be submitted, even through IRIS or through the PLM portal. So for the moment, we don't have an answer to that. For the moment, the marketing status has to be reported through IRIS. There is no change on those processes, so there is no change. And then also related to the question between IRIS and PLM. So PMS, IRIS is consuming data from PMS and the PLM portal is consuming data from IRIS. So this is a bit in a nutshell, the workflow of how we see the data. I guess this will be, we can provide more information on that in the next webinars or in the next sessions that we can have.
Thank you very much, Marcos, and thanks for your answers. And we are just on time to move to the next product, which is the electronic product information. And we will give the floor to Elizabeth, who will demo the latest development which happened on API. Over to you, Elizabeth.
Many thanks. Thanks, Jean-Michel. Next slide, please, Emily. So I'm Elizabeth Scanlon, the product owner for EPI, and the network product owner, Evan, is away today, so I'll be taking care of the presentation today. EPI, what EPI is the authorized product information for medicines, so the summary of product characteristics, the package leaflet, the labeling, and the Annex 2, created according to the EPI, the EU EPI Common Standard in an electronic format. And what we've been working on is a minimum viable product to enable creation of EPI. So this consists of an authoring portal and then a repository and an API to access the data. And we're planning to put this into a pilot with a small number of real regulatory procedures for centrally and nationally authorized products. Next slide, please. So what have we been working on in the previous PI? One of our main objectives for the previous PI was to complete the minimum viable product. So we were working on the setting up the self-hosting of the rich text editor that we're using in the MVP for creation of EPI and implementing this into all the environments. And we were also fixing some important bugs. So with these activities, we have completed the creation of the MVP. So this was a big part of our PI. And in addition, the other very big part of our PI just completed was working on preparing for the pilot that I just mentioned. So from the communication point of view, we have communicated with industry associations at both the EMA and NCA levels in order to recruit companies to participate in the pilot. And we're involved now in selecting from the responses the companies that will participate. And we have also got a dedicated EPI webpage now on the EMA website, and also the NCA websites are also communicating via their websites on the EPI project and the portal. We created a video tour to give an overview of what the MVP comprises. And we've also been spending a lot of time working on the training and guidance material that we're going to need during the pilot. So we have worked on a user guide to registration, so describing the EPI roles and how to apply for those roles. So important to note that at the moment, those roles will just be available to the pilot participants, but nevertheless, we published the guide so that interested stakeholders can look and see what kind of roles there will be for the pilot. And we also worked on the procedural guidance. So this is about how EPI fits into the regulatory procedures. And user manual, so how to navigate through the EPI part of the PLM portal and how to create EPI, submit EPI, and so on. And we have worked on a Q&A of frequently asked questions. And then another part of the materials that we worked on were things that we needed operationally at the EMA and the NCA participants need in order to conduct the pilot that we'll need while we're carrying out the pilot. And these include establishing what the key performance indicators are that we are going to measure while the pilot is ongoing. Next slide, please, Emily. So just a high-level overview. As I mentioned, the minimum viable product is complete. We are moving into the pilot phase. We are hoping to already be able to have outcomes and have a progress report in Q1 next year. And then this time next year, we're going to close the pilot phase, just to give a high-level view of how that works on the timeline. And next slide, please, Emily. So in the pilot, we are looking at post-authorization procedures in order to be able to get some outcome from the pilot in a reasonable time. We're not currently going to be looking at initial marketing authorization procedures. So here are the procedures that we are interested in during the pilot. So we're still doing a selection process of the procedures, so we don't know exactly how many yet of each different procedure type or so on we're going to be looking at. But overall, we're interested in type 1As, type 1Bs, type 2s, Article 61.3s, and renewal procedures. And for the centralized procedures, we are looking at, we're going to work with English EPI only for the pilot. This is because we have exploratory work ongoing on the EPI translations. So we will look at around 5 centralized procedures, and also the NCAs you see listed here who are also participating in the pilot from Spain, Denmark, the Netherlands, and Sweden will also look at a similar number of procedures, and they'll be creating EPI in their local language in those procedures. Next slide, please. So in fact, I just want to share with you a little bit of the information, a little bit of the materials that that I mentioned, because in fact, we're not demoing functionality in this demo. So I hope you can see my browser here.
Yes, we can. We can. Thank you,
Excellent.
Libby.
So here's the EMA website, and as I just wanted to mention to you, we have got a dedicated web page on here, so you should be able to find all the latest information that's of what's going on with EPI by coming to the corporate website. So you just go to the product information section, and under here you can see electronic product information page. So here we've got a little bit of information to let everybody know that we're moving into the pilot phase. We have links to the demos. We also have links to GitHub where the technical information on the standard is, and we have the documents from past developments, establishment of the standard, and so on. So this is available here. And then let me also just go to the PLM portal I think everyone is familiar with. And Christina mentioned earlier the work that has been done on the guidance and support area. So here we have the guidance and support in the UAT. So we hope to have this in production imminently. And here, as Christina mentioned, we have different tiles. So we have the electronic product information tile here. And under here, we'll have all the information for the pilot participants, but of course, freely available. You have to log in to go and look at this information so that anybody interested can read the documents. So just for the moment here, you can see the EPI registration guide. And this is all about what you need to get an EPI role and the different requirements. For example, you need an EMA account, your organization needs to be an OMS, and then you need to request an EPI role. So as I mentioned, for now, these roles are only available for the pilot participants, but of course it still may be of interest of what the different roles do. So here you can see the list of the roles. There are roles for applicants, regulator, and admin roles. And you can also see some detail here about all the different grants that those different roles provide and how to request the roles, how to log in, and so on. So for now, this concludes the demo. We're looking forward to getting started with the pilot procedures and giving you more information about how the pilot is going on in the next system demo. So I'm happy to take questions now, Jean-Michel.
Thank you very much, Elizabeth. So I think we have some questions for you. So the first one is about the reuse of already available PI documentation, which are used in ECTD submission or IDMP data submission without the need to provide again those PI documents to EPI.
This is indeed very much what we're hoping for. Of course, we are extremely early in product development. We have just got an MVP and we're piloting. So right now, we're not taking advantage of the full benefits of EPI. But indeed, once we have a more mature product, then we're going to look at all the different places where the EPI data, once we have a mature product, once we have the information out of PDF and into electronic FHIR format, there is going to be a lot of opportunity to avoid duplication and to reuse the data. And we're certainly going to be looking at taking advantage of all those opportunities. We're not at that level of maturity, but it's for sure it's on the roadmap.
Thank you very much. And the next question is about the EPI and the PMS integration. Will you use PMS approved data or allow to generate pending for approval PI using EAF proposed data changes without a variation package?
I think this is also, again, one of the areas where we already have discussed, and we are in the same value stream, obviously, with the other PLM products, and we have discussions and ongoing collaboration between the products. And once we have reached a sufficient level of maturity, these are the areas where we're going to be able to take advantage of the synergies, indeed.
Thank you. And then we have once the labeling is approved, I understand it will be available on the dedicated EME and
once the labeling is approved, it will be available once the labeling in the pilot and going forward in the business process when we implement is approved. It will be available via the FHIR repository, so it can be publicly accessed via the API. And we are looking in the upcoming PI about where else we're going to display that information.
So we still have some time for more questions. The next one will be about cooperations with a major relevant software provider to integrate API functionalities in regulatory software.
Well, at the moment, again, we are really early in our development, and our initial goal was to make publicly available all that we can to support developers of regulatory software. So right now, in this early phase with our MVP, the way we're doing that is simply publishing as much as we can. So we're hoping to publish, an example EPI, FHIR API on GitHub soon, update the information about the API. We'll have access to the API available soon. So that's the way that we are, doing this at the moment. And of course, in the future, we can look into different ways of collaborating with software developers.
Then we have the next question is about the API creation tool have an import function to import TSMPC, PL, and labeling. If not, what should the pharmaceutical manufacturer do? Are there any software vendor to contact?
So right now we have a MVP which enables authoring of the API inside in the portal, and we have a very minimal FHIR import functionality that we demoed in a previous PI. So we will need to do further development on the FHIR import functionality, but we absolutely realize that many companies will not author in the portal; they will prefer to import. So this is one of the high priority features for the future for the API product.
Thank you very much, Elizabeth. I think we can go quickly for last question as we are approaching the 11 o'clock mark. So how the linguistic review process for CAPS will be managed with the API?
This is a good question. It's a big question. It's very much on our minds. We are looking right now at things about how translations could be uploaded into the portal and how translations can be done in FHIR. And there's ongoing work on how the translations will be managed. And indeed, the linguistic review process, which is, of course, all part of that. So we don't have the answer for that. It's an ongoing piece of work.
So thank you very much, Elizabeth. We will try to answer the rest of the question in writing in Slido, and I think we can move to the next product. So we are still in the product lifecycle management value stream, and we are moving now to the regulatory procedure management. And Madalina and Sonia, over to you.
Good morning. I hope you can hear me well.
Yes, we can.
Thank you for attending the system demo. My name is Madalina Dutamare, and I represent the Regulatory Procedure Management as product owner. Together with my colleagues Sonia Nolten and Hannah Mehu, we will present the most relevant updates achieved during the second quarter of this year for regulatory procedure management development in IRIS. In the next slide, as many of you may be aware, EMA is in the process of developing in IRIS most of our business case management processes. IRIS for regulatory procedures will enable case management for product lifecycle procedures, including variations, marketing authorization application, PSUR, renewals, etc., for vet and human domains as applicable. So we started in 2022 the development of the first procedures, which cover variations, Article 61.3 notifications, and marketing authorization transfer, which will transition to IRIS in production in Q4 of this year. We want to understand the system behavior in production, so we will transfer in IRIS a small subset of products, around 90 generics for vet and human domains, to see and understand the simple life cycle of generics covering these three procedures mentioned above, as applicable, of course, for human and vets. Currently, we are also preparing communication to contact companies or as marketing authorization holders of these generic products, and ensure they have in place all settings required to work in IRIS. In the next slide, we want to offer a visual to depict the transition of procedures and product life cycles into IRIS. In the first phase, the three procedures listed above will enable transition for selected generic products with simple life cycle typically. These will be, of course, managed in IRIS, and development of further procedures such as PSUR and post-authorization measures will enable transition to IRIS for products with more complex life cycle. Further onboarding in IRIS case management for remaining procedures will lead to transition of all authorized products life cycles on the platform. In the next slide, we have a broader explanation of the objective and key changes. I just want to highlight our objective is to deliver optimized, sustainable, and more digitally enabled human and veterinary life cycle procedures. The key changes include benefits of working on a single platform which is integrated with relevant systems, using a single data source, improved collaboration and usability, better access to information and documents, and of course, on the first lane, it's enhanced security. In the next slide, we are showing the status of the features and functionalities to date. We have implemented quite some functionalities, and some are ongoing and in early stage. We still have a quarter and a bit to progress with the development. And in the next slide, you can also see actually what we are proud to announce today, our achievements for quarter 2, and most important, we want to highlight 3 aspects. We finalized the first UAT round for developed functionalities, and we developed also complex templates and fee messages. And with this, trying to be brief, I take the opportunity to thank our business and development teams for their excellent work. Also our industry and network experts for their outstanding collaboration, and to you for your attention. I will hand over to my colleague Hannah as fee automation process expert to walk you through the fee message, and further to Sonia to showcase the templates for variations and fee message. That's the demo for today. Thank you so much, and looking forward to the Q&A session.
Thank you, Madalina. Welcome everyone, I'm Hannah McHugh, and I'm here to give you a little bit of the context of the fee message, our new feature, the feature that allows us full automation of revenue and expenditure processes. Can I ask for the slide? Yes, so in Epic 1, we onboarding two fee-related procedures. They are variations and transfers. And from administrative viewpoint, for those two, the final outcome is an invoice and payment. Invoice to marketing authorization holder and payment to national competent authorities. IRIS is using lots of messages for various tasks, but we chose our fee message as a container, as a placeholder of all those fee-related attributes that are needed to calculate fees in later stage. Maybe some examples of the fee-related data. We'll start from the most important customer data, and they are linked directly to marketing authorization holder information, vendor data, NCAs, national competent authorities, but also product information, procedure type, and also incentives that might be linked to products or organizational data. How did we do it? We developed API that reads directly from the message and transfers that data to our sub-related systems. They are both sub-interface and sub-finance. Very important also is to mention that fee calculations and final mapping is done outside of IRIS. So what you will see today is just the container, the fee message, the first stage. And with this, I will finish my introduction to fee message. Let's see how it works, and over to Sonia. Thank you.
Yes, thank you. I'm Sonja Nolte, and I'm presenting for this team. I'm going to present a template for, just need to start it. I'm going to present a template which is a bit more complex, so it works on details filled in the case on our side. Why it's not starting. There it's starting. So you can see a pre-filled case for a veterinary procedure with two products. Advanced templates are able to not just take fields from the case, but also conditions which are filled in. For example, if a commission decision is required, then the template will show a certain text or other examples, like in this case, the annex documents that are selected, the types of changes which are relevant for the procedure. The timetable of the procedure as well. Things that are just not simple fields that are then displayed in the template in a correct way. I'm just going through the case itself just to show you where we are in the development. You can see the product of the procedure, the authorization products, and then the package products, and then of course the procedural scopes as listed on the screen. And for this procedure, we have recorded an outcome for the different scopes. So we have two approved, one is refused. And also we have lots of information that we can record on our case and also to say that this is a case in the UAT, so the data is the case is not real life data. So I'm going to generate the template, and I'm going to show you this template, how it looks like. It saves automatically in the correct location, so I can go directly to the template that was just generated. And you can have a quick look. So it shows the case with the details as pre-filled from the case. The next case I'm going to show you is a human case. It's a work sharing. It's 2 human products, a 1B variation. Just showing you some case relevant details, just as for the veterinary case I've just shown you. In this case, as I said, it's 2 products with a long list of packaged products in this case, but only 1 scope for this type of procedure. Again, the timetable related to this case, and the committee also related to this case, which will be interesting for the committee colleagues later, or for the CHMP, CVMP, and other committees. In this case, the outcome is it's a positive outcome. The approved scope is selected. The type of committee and the divergent opinions are selected. And I'm going to create the document. Same principle. So it's an advanced Word template, which means that it can apply conditions and not just fields in a text. And you can see that the text has taken all the relevant information directly from the case. It's applied that it's the scenario that it is a positive outcome, so the positive opinion outcome shows and the negative is hidden. Attached as well is the Annex A, the list of packaged products for both products that are included in this procedure. And next I'm going to show you the fee message, which on the CRM part, on our part, on the case management part, doesn't look like much, but as Hanne explained earlier, the fee message on our side is mainly to see that a fee message has been generated, 1 for each product, of course. And I'm having a look at one, which is, as I said, it's pretty bare. It doesn't give a lot of detail, but it gives us the reassurance that a fee message has been created and that the interface on the side of the colleagues can start the work with the invoice process. And that's it from me. Thank you very much.
So thank you very much. I think we are just on the 15 mark, so please make sure you answer the question of Slido in writing, because we won't have time to take any questions. And now would like to move to Maria for the last demo of the product lifecycle management value stream. And she will talk about the how we are trying to improve the regulatory user journey for EMA stakeholders all across those products. Over to you, Maya.
Great, thank you very much. Good morning, everyone. Thank you very much for having me here again today. At the last system demo, we briefly introduced the work that's currently been done regarding user experience across all value streams. Could I have the next slide, please? Thank you. And we also invited you to participate in a survey on your current experience with a few EMA IT applications. And just to very briefly recap for everyone who's not yet aware of this work, our aim is to improve the regulatory user journey. And we believe it's crucial to really have the user's interest and need at mind throughout the whole process of product development. So we would like to further embed this user-centric mindset in our approach. And in order to do so, we really rely on your feedback. So that's during the system demo here, but also via other channels. Please do share your thoughts with us. And yeah, today I would like to report back to you on the service results and also on the next steps we're going to take. Next slide, please. Thank you. So we started our work by looking at the processes that are already implemented in IRIS. So that's scientific advice, orphan designation, marketing status, inspections, parallel distributions, and veterinary signal management. And we interviewed people working on these processes in order to identify what's been going well and maybe not so well, and see where and how we can improve for future implementations. And then we also ask you to fill in the survey, to share your thoughts, so we really have a holistic picture on what the users think of the systems. And based on these findings, we are developing guidance documents, which are generally applicable to all of our applications, so not only to IRIS. We will also have tailored workshops to support the product owners and anyone else working in the value streams to enhance the approach of product development, again, to be more user-centric. And with that, we hope that we eventually improve the user experience for everyone interacting with the systems. Next slide, please. Thank you. So back to the survey. I just want to give you a very short overview. We opened the survey on the 22nd of March, so that was during the last system demo. And our focus areas were to understand your role and what type of organization you work for, which systems you use and how often you work with the applications, and then of course how you perceive the user experience and what your ideas for improvement are. Next slide, please. Thanks. So as for the overview of respondents, I would like to point out that we are very much aware that the sample size in comparison to the overall population size of users is rather small. However, I also want to point out that we really did get some very insightful and detailed feedback via the free text replies that we had. And these replies or findings were then also echoed during the interviews with the internal staff. So I would really very much like to thank everyone who took the time to reply. I understand that it was a rather lengthy survey, so thank you very much for that. Next slide, please. Thank you. Our general findings were that users use more than one account role, and that users rely on personal bookmarks to access the systems. And as for the bookmarks, this is also in line with our overall impression from the internal interviews that the systems and applications could be better interlinked with one another. And it was interesting to hear that only few users actually rely on the corporate website when looking for information on processes during completing their tasks within the systems. So that was an interesting finding for us, and also that the majority of people find it easy to understand which systems are needed for what. However, when digging a bit deeper into these replies, we saw that most users actually know the systems very well now, that they have been working with them for a while. And it was mentioned multiple times in the survey that it's difficult for new users to find their way around. So that for us indicates that our user guides and maybe also the onboarding process for new colleagues could be further improved. Next slide, please. Thank you. If we look at the overall comments by system, we saw that most of you do like the PLM portal and find it very user-friendly. There were some comments with regards to the layout of exported PDF forms. I believe that was with regards to consistency in font size, but there was a minor comment, and overall your feedback was very positive, and I would like to highlight that as well. With regards to the account management platform, we noted that we could further improve details on the role descriptions and also the overall navigation and communication on the tool could be further improved and looked in. For the SPOR portal, we mainly had comments on the system's performance and the navigation. Could I get the next slide, please? So we would then like to bring the findings on IRIS to your attention. The most recurring topic on our IRIS were that there were too many steps required to carry out some of the processes and that many tasks needed to be repeated. So we took note of that, and we would really like to work on the efficiency. So for example, to enable users to copy forms and change values throughout their user journey where possible. As we can imagine, it can be frustrating having to start from scratch due to an error, for example. We also saw that the navigation could be further improved and also potentially tailored to the respective user group, and that the terminology should be more consistent across tabs. And another point that we would like to highlight is that we should give better instructions directly when needed. I understand that there are fields that are required, but it's not always very clear what exactly is needed from the user, and especially when the users are new to the system again. Next slide, please. So having said all of that now, we draw the conclusions that we could improve the connectivity of the applications and also further align them in terms of look and feel. And another idea could be an autofill function to improve efficiency. And the presentation, as mentioned earlier, the presentation of information should also be customized according to the user group. So my example here would be, for example, humans versus vets. One group might have very different needs than another, and that could be displayed and customized differently. And we will also take into consideration setting up a mechanism to gather your feedback directly in the applications and centralize the locations for user guides and information to really help you to work on your tasks and give you the information where you need it. So I know that these findings seem more high level, but if you really want to embed a stronger focus on the user in a sustainable way, then we also need to have a solid foundation first and then build up on that going further. Thank you. The next slide, please. Yes, for our next steps, we will incorporate all these findings in our best practice guidance documents on user experience. And we also already developed persona templates for product owners to use wherever needed. And we will hold the workshops that I mentioned in the beginning, again, for everyone involved and working in the value streams. So this is really, again, to provide the product owners with a toolkit to embed this sort of user-centric approach in their development and the design of all future products. And that's it from me. Many thanks for your time, and please do let me know if you have any questions.
Thank you very much, Maria. So let's see if we have any questions for you. Sorry? No, I don't see any questions. So I think we can, we are exactly on time. I think we can take that opportunity to have a longer break for the next and final value stream. And I will give rendezvous to everyone at 11:35 for the next value stream. Thank you very much, everyone, for now. So welcome back, everyone. So let's move to the next value stream, the monitoring value stream. Here we are around the capabilities to monitor and the availability and the safety of products. Pedro Pina being the value stream owner and Pedro Oliveira, the value stream manager. So the first product to be demoed in that value stream is the critical medical devices shortages. So CMDS, and that will be with Klaus. Over to you, Klaus.
Thank you very much, and good morning, colleagues. Thank you so much for your interest in this public system demo. Can I just have the next slide, please? So critical medical devices shortages, and I'm glad to give you a demo actually of two components that we have developed within the last PI or within the current PI. But just I would like to give you a little bit more information about the product in general. So CMDS is a solution that allows for the reporting, monitoring, and analysis of essential information to prevent or mitigate shortages of critical medical devices in the case of a public health emergency. So, and as you know, actually from the previous system demo, actually, this is related to EMA's new mandate, the Regulation EU 2022, or the extended mandate, Regulation EU 2022-123, that actually provides, that has certain obligations actually for medical devices, and only critical medical devices only within a public health emergency. So CMDS is actually the solution, or the IT solution, that allows the national competent authorities, the relevant economic operators, so manufacturers, authorized representatives, distributors, and importers, and also notified bodies to report and information to the agency. So development of CMDS, just very quickly now, for monitoring reporting of shortages of these critical medical devices, started in November 2022, and we will finalize actually the system in July 2023. So we will finalize, of course, a minimum viable product, and everything what I'm going to show you actually is kind of developed within the Agile system. So this is kind of being the, let's say, first minimum viable product for CMDS. So the reuse of IT components hosted by DG Santé and the definition actually of a minimum viable product were here the main drivers for streamlining and also reducing significantly actually the development time. So just kind of let you, just kind of looking at the timeline here. So the kickoff to meeting of the product was, as mentioned before, in November 2022. So we have the release of the first web form basically. So release is not really released to the public, but it's going to be internal, and it can be used actually whenever it's needed, and this is within a public health emergency, and of course only for the products that are included in the public health emergency critical medical devices list, which has been adopted by the MDSSG, which is the Executive Steering Group on Medical Devices, and then published, of course. So economic operators web form, we are currently actually performing a user test for the first economic operators web form with relevant manufacturers and authorized representatives. And also then now here in the beginning of May, actually the National Competent Authorities web form, and this is one of the web forms that I'm going to show you today actually, has been released in May. And then actually the last kind of web form that will follow is actually very, very shortly, and that's the one that is relevant for notified bodies. So moving to the next slide, this is actually just kind of an overview about the releases. So we're gonna demo actually the NCA web form. But also what I wanted to show you is actually the release of the economic operators registration functionality, which actually is a prerequisite to register in OMS and also in IAM actually. So after registration of OMS and IAM, to kind of register the, let's say, economic operators, so relevant economic operators SPOC, so single point of contact. So these are just the two kind of functionalities that I would like to show you. Moving on to the next slide, please. is just kind of a short overview actually about the entire system. So the system, as I mentioned, kind of is composed out of 3 web forms currently: relevant economic operators, national competent authorities, notified bodies. And the entire system actually encompasses not only the registration functionalities, it also has the user registration and login functionalities. User registration is also part of the internal system from EMA. So then we have as another functionality the Sante data collection platform. So this is kind of the platform where the web forms are currently hosted. So and have been also developed. So then we have, of course, data warehousing analytics. So analytical part has been already started, of course, and we will definitely include some of the analytical functionalities that we are developing in the next PI and in the next system demo, of course. And then actually something that's also will be made at a later time point is actually integration of other data sources, and this could be, for example, UDAMIT once it becomes fully functional. So the next slide is actually, if I'm not mistaken, already the start of the demo. So I will just share my screen with you. And as I mentioned, actually, we're gonna have 2 products that I think, okay, excuse me. Yeah, so now you should be able to see my screen. So we have 2 products or two functionalities that I wanted to share with you. So the first one is actually an overview about the IRIS registration functionality for the economic operator single point of contact. So, and here actually, before I show you, I would also like to give you a little bit background on the, let's say, on the legal background. So we are referring here actually on two requirements actually in the regulation 2022/123, and this is actually Article 25(2)(a). So where it's actually required that the agency shall establish a list of single points of contacts. Oh, my apologies. Actually, that's not. This is not the right one. But so actually, there must be actually a list of single point of contacts actually developed for the economic operators, and then actually in Article 25(2)(b), actually the list must be maintained, and of course it was the right one, the right reference. So to Article 25(2)(a). So this functionality has been developed within the IRIS system, so you can use actually your login actually to IRIS, and after you log in into the IRIS system, actually kind of you see the let's say a landing page here, and if you want to register actually the economic operator single point of contact actually, so you're going to click on submission, actually click on my draft submissions, which leads you actually to an overview about the previous draft submissions here. So currently, as you can see, we are logged in with my IRIS login credentials. So you can see actually an overview of some of the draft submissions that I have done. And actually, as you can see, actually there are different submission types. So the submission type we are currently demoing is actually the one for economic operators, so relevant economic operators, that's EO, single point of contacts. But also kind of you can see an overview actually, submission ID, submission type, and also sponsor type, and the modification date actually of other functionalities for which that you have actually submitted at an earlier time point. So we're going to click on create new submission here now. And actually the first question is, are you applying as an individual or on behalf of an organization? And just to let you know, actually, it is only possible for the economic operator single point of contact registration to use organization here. So individual would not be accepted within the system. So clicking on organization and then clicking actually on go next will bring us actually to the second folder here, which is the choose submission type. So the first question actually is select the organization on behalf of which you are applying. So, and this actually gives you an overview about all the organizations. So that's quite important actually to highlight here. So you can of course be affiliated actually to multiple organizations. And as you can see actually here, just of course for this testing purpose, I'm also as part of the EMA, I'm also kind of within the test setting here, I'm also associated actually to, let's say, generic manufacturer of a critical medical device. And that's actually a new organization ID. So I'm just going to click actually on manufacturer number 1 because that's the organization on which of behalves I'm now registering the economic operator. Click on select actually, go to the location. And here actually there's only one location, which I'm going to select, this one. And as I mentioned before, actually, you would have actually now the possibility to choose different submission types. But here actually I'm only associated to the EO SPOC functionality. So that's the only submission type I can select. So create a next actually leads us to the next page. And just to mention already here, this is just an overview page. So on this page, actually, you do not have to enter any data. It's just kind of an overview about manager and contributor role here. So I'm just going to click without any delay on continue to the submission form. And actually here, that's the functionality where you select the organization for the economic operator SPOC. So currently it says actually there are no records to display. So I'm going to add an economic operator. So and here again, actually I'm going to select manufacturer number 1. So here, just also for the current state, you can actually see who is actually the current economic operator single point of contact for manufacturer number 1, and this is also me. But it could be, of course, another colleague actually associated to manufacturer number 1. So I'm going to click on add because that's, as mentioned, kind of it's only the organization I'm currently registering for. I have registered this. It's going to display it here. I'm going to submit this information, and now it's actually really the person that's going to be associated or affiliated to the manufacturer number 1 organization that can be selected here. I'm the only representative actually here currently, but all the other colleagues actually that are associated to the specific company or manufacturer in this case actually will be shown up here and can be selected. So I'm just going to select me and as with the serial number 1 here, actually going to click on save and next. And this gives me actually the possibility to change or make any modifications actually to, for example, the job title, the department I'm affiliated with. And as you can see, kind of there are mandatory fields that are just kind of indicated by this little red star symbol. So email address actually is already kind of a preset, as you can see. So I cannot change this, and this is based, of course, on the let's say preset values or the preset information that comes from the EMA internal system. But of course, you can change actually, and you need to change actually the alternative email address. That's why I have kind of omitted the dot. If you have the dot here, it would not be possible actually because the alternative email address must be different from this one. So you can enter a contact number. So I'm just going to add a few other numbers here, and actually this is all the information that's required. So we click on submit. And the next page that will show up is actually only the confirmation page, and actually it will show you a summary of the registration and also the color code here. So the information is color coded. If it's valid, actually it is a positive validation outcome. So this is actually kind of the registration process. So if I'm going to return now back, actually all the information has been added, and actually the new economic operator SPOC, which is in this case actually it's the same as before because it was only one choice, and that's me for this specific company, has been registered. So if you want to change, for example, this now, actually you can go into the process and then kind of repeat the process and select actually another economic operator single point of contact. So this was everything I wanted to show you actually for these functionality that we have developed now and put into production in this PI. The next functionality I wanted to highlight to you is actually the National Competent Authorities web form. So this is the web form actually that allows competent authorities to report or to provide actually the requested or the necessary information to the national competent authorities on the devices actually that are within the critical medical devices public health emergency list. So I'm going to switch now, of course, kind of the system. So this is, as mentioned before, this is not part of the IRIS system anymore. This has been developed actually as part of the Sante data collection platform. And actually also, as you can see, kind of the input functionality here is a little bit different. So the EU login actually information is needed to enter the system. But we have already kind of started kind of to write all the documentation related to the complete end-to-end process, but also the documentation and user guides actually for each single web form, and also the economic operator single point of contact registration. So what is needed actually here is kind of the EU login details. And so currently this is kind of associated with a test user. And this information will be shown, or it's automatically kind of being entered or shown here in this on this site. So this is actually the landing page of the Sante data collection NCA web form actually, but this is actually also the landing page that's applicable actually for all web forms. So we have an introduction section here. We have also some documents actually that are linked here. So that's actually the specific privacy statement for this data collection, for this specific data collection, but also and also another data protection record has been added here. You will find also the link actually to the regulation, which is the regulation 22123 linked here. And then actually at the end of the page, actually there will be just the possibility to access actually the web form. So currently there are 3 web forms accessible, but this is of course only for me because I'm a user that has access to 3 different web forms. But if you are affiliated with National Competent Authority or with an economic operator single point of contact, only this possibility will be shown up here. So the economic operator web form I demoed actually in the last PI, and but I will also like to show in a few minutes actually one or two of the functionality for these economic operators web form with you. But also today, actually, I'm only focusing mainly on the National Competent Authority web form. So clicking on this actually will provide you with the overview page for the specific web form. And as you can see, actually, again, kind of the information on the right upper side as the one actually affiliated with your EU login information. And actually here, this is basically the main document management functionality. So here actually you can select a new dossier, and just for your information, dossier is actually kind of the, let's say, kind of information that you would like to submit to the agency related to, let's say, a specific kind of product, to a specific kind of category of critical medical devices, for example. So you have different functionalities here. So create a new dossier. You can also create a dossier from a template, or you can also go back to the data collection, to the parent data collection here. So also there is some possibilities actually to manage the different kind of submission types, and also at the end of the page you will see actually an overview about all the dossiers that are currently in an editing state. So there is just one dossier in the editing state, and you can see different information here. For example, when has the dossier been created? When has it last time has been updated? And also kind of the organization ID, the organization EMA organization name actually can be found here. So you can edit, of course, a dossier that is currently in the draft mode and has not been finally submitted, but you're not able actually to submit to change any data actually on a dossier actually that has been finally submitted to the agency. So we're going to start with creating a new dossier here. It will give you access to the overview page of the specific form for national competent authorities, and certain information are actually already pre-filled here. And that's, for example, no, not for example, these are the OMS organization ID. This is the OMS organization name, and this is also the OMS organization country. So all of these information cannot be changed. And this is basically on the information that has been entered actually within the EMA systems, and will be, of course, then being transferred appropriately. So there is one question I would like to highlight also, that we have color coded, or certain functionalities are kind of being associated with different colors. So we have, for example, whenever kind of a mandatory question must be answered, we have, for example, a red frame here. So once you have provided information, for example, are you unable to provide the requested information? No, I can currently provide this information to the agency. The red frame actually here disappears and is kind of replaced by a smaller bluish screen. So if you change this, for example, and this is a new functionality we have included now in all 3 web forms, we have kind of, if you change this, actually information will be indicated that you indicated that you are unable to provide the requested information. If you do this actually at a certain time point within, you have, for example, already filled in some information actually, and then you are currently come to a stage where you say, okay, I cannot provide this information at the current stage and will provide it at a later stage. Actually, the information will be cleared before you proceed. So if you submit this information, kind of you go on proceed, and then actually only in this in this specific instance, actually, this will become mandatory to provide a justification. So before I enter any data here, actually, for these testing purposes, I would just like to draw your attention to these 3 options that are on the bottom of this web page. So you can actually at this certain stage save the web form, you can clear the form, or you can finish and exit the form. So, but you cannot submit. But once you have, for example, entered the appropriate justification here, or not the appropriate, but the justification here, a new functionality appears, and this is actually, you are now able to submit and close the form. And as you can see, actually, all the red kind of all the red background color has disappeared here and is replaced actually by a green color. My apologies. So, but in this certain instance here, of course, I'm going to indicate that I'm able to provide the information actually, and then certain new functionalities appears. So, for example, not for example, but here actually the new category of critical medical devices appears. And also kind of a new kind of section on the commercial license, if information actually is being considered of a commercially confidential nature, can be indicated here. So, but actually before I'm gonna show you further details, I would just like to take the opportunity to very briefly show you the economic operator web form. Not going into detail here, but I would like to point to certain elements. And you will also get a feeling actually that all these web forms actually have been developed actually across and have been actually harmonized for certain specific fields. So I'm just gonna finish and exit the web form now. Actually, I do not want to save this information. I'm just gonna go cancel and leave, and then actually I'm just gonna click go back actually to the main functionality here, and I'm gonna click on the economic operators web form, and just would like to show you actually that the identical kind of, let's say, landing page, initial information, a set of information provided, for example, are you unable to provide the requested information? This has been consistently developed across all web forms. Here's a functionality that's not applicable for this this is not applicable actually for the National Competent Authorities web form, but I would like to show you, for example, that here, for example, 4 different specific groups have been included, which is actually kind of so information actually on the manufacturer or authorized representative, product group, shortage information, mitigation and prevention details. And what I wanted to show you actually here is actually, for example, we have included already some calendar functionalities categories here, for example, related to the shortage period start date, where you can enter actually information on the start date, on the end date actually of the shortage. And all these functionalities have been also further developed in the National Competent Authority web form, because also this web form have been developed in a sequential way. So that was just kind of the short information on the economic operator web form, to really highlight actually that there is certain elements are developed across the entire web forms, and the same will be of course applicable for the notified bodies web form that we will show you actually in the next PI system demo. So also here now I'm going back to the National Competent Authorities web form. I'm gonna indicate that I'm able to that I want to leave this web form. I do not want to save the data. And actually here now, as you can see, we have done extensive kind of submissions, draft submissions, of course, kind of with these web forms. I'm going to go back actually now to the National Competent Authorities web form. So here now very quickly, you already know actually that we are currently able to indicate the information. I've already shown you a little bit details about the category of critical medical device information, and also here the CCI section. So now actually I'm going to select actually the category of critical medical device. Please again pay a little bit attention to the color also of the headers, and also for the subheaders here. So the first information actually that needs to be entered is actually to select the specific device that I would like to report. So these are of course very specific, a very generic kind of information. So it's the device category specification number 1. So this is actually the information that has been adopted by the executive steering group, by the MDSSG, and then actually published. So this could be, for example, any device that is critical actually for the specific public health emergency. So I'm going to select actually device specification number 1, and as you can see, this is already kind of associated automatically actually with a specific code, which is also based on the EMDN or maybe based actually on the EMDN code. So it cannot be changed. It's just kind of it's going to a preset value here, and actually then we can see that there are the same way it has been implemented actually in the economic operators web form. There are different sections, and each of the section is independent. As you will see, actually also the color code actually here will change. As I mentioned, actually we have done a couple of we have actually further developed a couple of elements, but we of course have also we have also integrated elements that we have further previously developed. For example, the calendar function has been included, but specifically modified now. So let's look at the 3 sections. So we have the section on the estimation of demand, we have the estimation of the average use, we have a section on currently available stocks of the category of critical medical devices. So the demand reporting period is actually a period, and the period could be, for example, 3 months. It could be also 2 weeks. No, not 2 weeks, but maybe 1 month or two months actually. And this is actually just an information that will be predefined by the agency. So this information actually is for a certain period, and that's actually why the calendar function has been modified, and only months can be selected. So as you can see, actually the current month is colored. It's colored in June, and we're just going to say the forecasting period. So for this test period, we're going to state the forecasting period will be for 3 months, and actually it will start in July 2023. So we're going to select actually automatically July 2023. The red frame disappeared actually, and I'm just going to enter a few numbers here, and the demand of the devices will be, let's say, 100. And then actually here this small icon appears, and you can press on, you can click on the plus symbol, and actually this will open then the next month. So please remember, we said actually it's going to be 3 months. So I'm going to press another time actually on the plus symbol, and we have 3 months. So, and as you can see, actually it started with July. It will continue then automatically with August, and continue with September in 2023. So I'm just going to enter a few numbers here, which is actually demand for these respective months. So you can, without any problem, actually, you can just delete the last month by clicking on the small deletion symbol here. You can also enter You can also enter another number actually for September. But interestingly, actually, as you can see, the calendar functionality is only linked actually to the first month. So you cannot, for example, just change a month in between these months. You also always have to go back actually and change the first month. So clicking by this actually, because you want to not to provide data actually for July, but you will would like to provide data actually for August, it will prompt an error message actually that you updated the selected month value. Please note that any numbers actually included for these previously citrus months will be cleared if you proceed. And this is actually just to avoid that some of the information will be just carried over. Also, kind of if you indicated or you changed the month actually to a different month, this will be reflected here in the consecutive months that will have that are indicated. So it's now kind of August, September, and October 2023. So I'm quickly kind of adding some random numbers here. And so with this, actually, with providing this information, you can also see that no further information needs to be provided. And also kind of the subheading actually here turns turns blue, from red to blue. So estimation of the average use. So we have implemented the same kind of functionality here. So you can provide actually information in the past, for example, to indicate actually the average use of the specific device in the past. So I'm just going to select actually May in 2022 in 2020. Also here, kind of it can be expanded up to 12 months actually, but I'm just going to enter now a value for only 1 month. So the currently available stock information here also is kind of related now not to a month, but we can indicate a specific date. And a specific date is then, for example, it could be a date actually in the past. It cannot be a date actually selected that is in the future. So we're just going to indicate actually that the information have been actually selected or have been collected actually on the 21st. So yesterday, this will be entered in here, and the available stock of the category of critical medical device is, I'm just going to enter again a number. Is going to be provided. So the header turns blue again. And so this information is actually more or less ready now. And this is also for this specific device category. Actually, it's indicated by the color change actually of the header. So a new category actually can be added. So we can just click on add the new category actually, and then, for example, device category number 2, the information can be provided. But just to shorten this actually here, I'm just going to remove actually this device category. So once you remove it, actually a message, an information message pops up. Also to really indicate actually that you are removing now previously or data that you have indicated previously. So turning now actually to the last section that I wanted to show you, and as you can see, actually still the form for national competent authorities has a red background, so it is not possible to submit it at the current stage. Also, there is no submission button here. Actually, so do you consider any of the information provided to be of a commercially confident nature? And this is actually also a requirement that's laid down in Article 27 of the regulation, and it states actually that indicate the existence of any commercially confidential information and explain why that information is of commercially confidential nature, and in accordance with Article 26(3). So this is indicated in Article 27. So here actually information submitted is not of a commercially confidential nature, can be selected, and this will lead actually to the possibility to submit and close. If you indicate actually that the estimation of demand section, for example, is being considered as commercial sensitive nature, is being considered as information of a commercial sensitive data, this can also be indicated here. But just for the ease, and that's actually, this is a functionality I wanted to show you. So once you have selected this, for example, a new field will be indicated, and it's actually the kind of provide further information why this data is being considered as data of commercial sensitive nature. So I'm just going to enter something here. You can see you can submit and close the form at this stage, but we would strongly kind of advise you to save the form at this stage and not submit and close it. So, and I will explain in a second why this is maybe really important. So we're going to save the form, and then actually at this stage we could also clear the form, but of course we do not do this actually because we will lose all the information. So as you can see, actually a new, and this is actually specific, very specific identification number has been generated, which starts actually with the date, so the 22nd of June, where this dossier has been indicated. So this dossier number is unique for each individual dossier. So I'm just going to click on Finish and Exit. So because we have saved it, there is no risk that we lose the information. And indeed, actually, the new dossier appears here. So now actually we can do several different, we have different possibilities what we can do. We could, for example, create a template form. With these template forms, actually, I'm just going to name it dossier number 1, and we could add a certain description here. And this is actually will create a certain template. This template is then be accessible over kind of the creation from the template functionality here. But also we would advise actually at this stage to just duplicate this dossier. This will allow you actually to submit one of the dossiers now in a few seconds, what we're going to do. And also you have a copy of this that you can modify, which might be very important actually if you need to resubmit the data actually at a later stage. For example, according actually to the let's say set reporting cycle, actually it might be really important actually, or it might be necessary to submit the dossier actually at a later stage. So I'm just going to click on Edit Later now here. A new dossier number has been indicated, and as you can see now the new dossier has been entered here on top of the list. So you have successfully now duplicated the dossier. I'm just going to go and finalize now the submission. So I'm going to go actually to the previous one, the one that we have generated at 12:09. So I'm just going to go and edit the dossier now here, because we have not done we have not entered any further information here. Actually, we do not have actually the save functionality. So we're just going to go to submit and close. A final submission information will pop up, and it states that actually you're submitting this dossier now. And it also reminds you that after successful submission, the dossier will be closed and you will not be able to make any further edits to this dossier. So this is actually the reason why the duplication is very important. So because we have done the duplication, actually, we can submit and close the form now. Also, a message will appear actually that the form data has been submitted and is no longer available for editing. So clicking on OK, and as you can see, actually, the one that we have generated, dossier we have generated at 12:09, actually is not available anymore. This is kind of the last step that I wanted to show you. And then here, for example, now you could go back actually and go to create the form. If you have, create a template. My apologies. So you can go back actually to the create template functionality. You could select this, and actually then you have also the option to select for further submission actually from the template functionality. With this, actually, I'm coming to the end of my presentation. Thank you so much for your interest and for your attention. And I'm really looking forward to show you actually in the next PI, the next functionality. Thank you very much.
Oh, thank you very much, Klaus. And while we will display Slido, we already received some questions for you. So you have some, yeah, we have 6 minutes. So the first question is about the economic operator. Who is defining them?
Yeah, that's a really good question. So we always refer to them actually as the relevant economic operator, and relevant is actually because the Article 26 actually of the Regulation 2022/123, and I'm just going to read this now. Actually, it states actually that there are certain obligations on manufacturers of medical devices, authorized representatives, importers, distributors, and notified bodies. So this is the heading. So the relevant economic operators is actually, if we go to Article 26(1), actually, is actually manufacturers of medical devices or their authorized representative as applicable, and if appropriate, importers and distributors. So this is actually, I think, the answer to your question. It's going to be manufacturers of the critical medical devices that are on the list that has been published and has been first adopted by the executive steering group, and then published actually, and are associated with these devices that are defined or actually listed on these critical medical devices list. So this is kind of the relevant economic operators. I hope I could answer the question.
Thank you, Klaus. The next question is also about economic operator. So is the access given to the Santé data collection platform only to the economic operator spoke registered, I think?
Yeah, so thank you so much. Actually, this is a really important follow-up question, and the answer is yes. And the reason for this is actually that it's a requirement, as I mentioned, actually from the regulation, that the agency shall establish a list of the single points of contact, so of the SPOCs, for the manufacturers of the medical devices, the authorized representative, importers, and notified bodies. And also, we need to maintain, so the agency need to maintain the list of single point of contacts during for the duration actually of the public health emergency. So yes, so the answer is really yes. So the single point of contact is really the main kind of interaction point for the agency. And yes, so only access will be given to the economic operator single point of contact that has been registered.
Thank you, Klaus. The next question is about the access and login, the difference between the EMA system and the Commission. So, of course, there's different solution. Is there an intent to merge them or to integrate them?
Yeah, it's again a very good question, actually, Velo. Thank you so much for this question. So this is based actually on the different requirements. So first of all, the agency is of course kind of we need to, as I explained actually for the previous question, we need to establish the list of single point of contacts. We need to kind of keep also the contact information, because we want to, if we need to communicate actually with this economic operator single point of contact, and we need to maintain it. We have two different systems actually in place. One is, of course, the internal EMA system, and one is actually the Santé data collection platform. It can only be accessed actually with these two kind of, let's say, different login details. So the EU login actually, and on the other side, kind of after successfully registering in the EMA system. So the possibilities will not be merged or it's actually right now it's not foreseen that there is that they will be merged, but we see actually that we anticipate actually that there will be not too much difficulties actually to kind of also register actually at the Santé data collection platform with the EU login. So the short answer is actually it's not foreseen actually that both will be merged and only a single login is needed.
Thank you very much, Klaus. The next question is about, in the overview of dossiers, why not to have a label that includes, for instance, the category of the device? So I think that's a feature for you.
Yeah, that's a really good question, actually. And realized also that we can potentially add actually further information in the dossier overview, let's say information that is provided in the management function. So we do not think actually that, I think it could be really considered to add the category of the devices. It might be really important actually if you, for example, if you need to submit more than one kind of dossier at one point, but actually for competent authorities, we do not foresee this actually for notified, sorry, not for notified bodies, but for economic operators. There could be some instances actually, there could be some situations where more than one dossier must be or might need to be submitted at a certain time point. But for national competent authorities, information should be provided or shall be provided actually for each category of critical medical device. So if there are, for example, 3 different critical medical devices on the list, you can submit actually one dossier that contains the let's say 3 subclasses, so demand, stock level, and also a previous kind of use information actually and combine this actually in one dossier. So I don't think actually currently that that it will be needed actually to have only one specific kind of category of critical medical devices indicated in the overview, but it could be of course considered, and we can of course discuss this further. Thank you so much for the comment or for the question.
Thank you very much, Klaus. So quickly, we still have less than 1 minute, but let's try to go to the next question. Will the SRN be added to the different EO once the DAMED is fully functional?
Yeah, so the SRN actually, so the short answer is yes. So we will add actually a new field actually in the economic operator web form actually for the SRN. So for the single registration number. So the answer here is definitely yes.
So thank you very much, Klaus. And quickly, the last one. How will the information integrate with the DAMED? Quickly, before we give the floor to Laura.
Yeah, so this is something we definitely need to discuss further. And as I mentioned before, actually, we are currently not working on let's say the integration or information gathering aspect. So it's only kind of just a short comment. Actually, Article 22 actually refers that until UDAMED is so that information shall be gathered actually from UDAMED once it is fully functional. So it's really critical actually to use UDAMED actually in the future to gather the information. So the integration function is currently not defined, and we are kind of working together with the NCA colleagues actually on these, or we will work together with the NCA's colleagues actually to further really develop these functionality. But currently it's not. Yeah, so it's at an early stage actually right now.
Thank you very much, Klaus. So let's move to the next product we would like to demo. So it's the Veterinary Union Pharmacovigilance Database, so the UPhV. And I will give the floor to Laura. Over to you, Laura.
Thank you. So good afternoon. My name is Laura Descalzo, and I am the EMA product owner for UPhV, together with Joe Solarts. And I will be presenting to you some of the developments that the UPhV team have worked on during the current quarter 2. If we go to the next slide, please. So just to recap, UPhV is a solution for the reporting, analysis, and monitoring of adverse event reports for veterinary medicinal products. And the development of the UPhV system was started in 2020, and the minimum viable product went live on the 28th of January 2022 to support the implementation of the new veterinary legislation, which was based on Regulation 2019-6. And after the minimum viable product went live, we've been working on the development of additional functionality to enhance the system capabilities and the user experience. And this development will continue in 2023 and 2024. So on the timeline shown below, you can see some of the highlights from kickoff, as I mentioned, in 2020, the implementation of the regulation with the go live with the minimum viable product. And then during 2023, we achieved integration with IRIS in the data warehouse, while in EasyWeb, we developed a bulk download, AER download functionality. And then during this quarter, at the beginning of the quarter, the draft AER functionality went live, as well as the pre-calculations in data warehouse. And we expect that by the end of this quarter or beginning of the next quarter, the product grouping functionality will be also going live in the data warehouse. If we move on to the next slide, please. So in this slide, you can see an overview of the PI objectives that we've been working on towards during Q2. So we'll start with the objectives for EV-Web and Datadose, which I already mentioned. The team worked on the draft AER functionality. The MVP for this functionality went live at the beginning of the quarter, and the team has been working on some improvements to this system, which is what I'm going to be demoing in the EV-Web part of the live demo. As well as that, the team has been working on disabling the DG messaging capability. This was the old messaging standard, so this functionality of processing DG messages will be disabled shortly, and only messages related to the VICH standard will be processed in the system. Then the team has been working also on some technical tasks to enable the storage of the product grouping data to support the data warehouse implementation. With regards to the interface, the team has also worked on improving some of the functionality, such as sorting, the mapping suggestions, and navigation on the manual recoding tool, which is at the moment used internally at the EMA in order to map entries, reported product entries to the correct product. So then providing the correct access to the reports for marketing authorization holders. Another functionality that has been developed, and I will be demoing today in EV-Web, is a functionality to improve product and vendor terms selection in EV-Web, and you will be seeing these improvements shortly. With regards to another technical task, the team worked on enabling a functionality in the system to change the data collection for the duplicate detection statistical algorithm. Then we will move on to the data warehouse objectives, and one of the tasks that was conducted by the business analysts from the data warehouse was to look into how to include the sales data that will be reported or is being reported to the Union product database into the UPhV database to enable the calculation and publication of incidents, which is a legislative requirement by 2024. And another technical task that took place as well is the integration of a new technology in order to enhance the duplicate detection functionality. Then in the data warehouse, the team also worked on implementing pre-calculations on the signal detection dashboard by product name to enhance the speed of the system. As well as that, also in order to enhance the speed of the system, some filters in the signal detection dashboard were combined, so they applied to the result tables at the same time. And the task that the team has conducted that I will be also demoing today for the data warehouse, in this case using slides due to the type of data that we have in the system, is the product grouping from the UPD how this information will be displayed and used in the data warehouse. And this functionality has been implemented firstly in the signal detection dashboard, and then we will continue implementing the functionality on additional dashboards in the near future. Other tasks that were also conducted by the team were how to collect and integrate information into the data warehouse from external sources, such as, for example, the known VEDRA terms that appear in the SPC. So the next of the BI objectives that appear in this slide are related to the IRIS system, and some of them included the integration or the network submission of non-urgent information and rapid alerts in the system. So if we move on to the next slide now, please. Thank you. So this slide is just to provide you some further context and overview of where we are in relation to the development of the different parts of the system. So for example, in the transactional system, EV-Web, as you can see here, all these functionalities have already been deployed, and we are currently working on or improving the functionalities shown in blue here, like I mentioned before, draft AER, the bulk export functionality, and we also are working on the rerouting to NCAs of adverse event reports. With regards to the data warehouse, I mentioned before we were working on implementing the pre-calculations on existing reports, and in IRIS, the team are working on enhancing the signal management workflow. And if we move to the next slide, please. So this will be the part of the demo where I will show the functionality for the product groupings, how this is going to be implemented in the signal detection dashboard in the data warehouse. So in the filters page, the team has included a new selection field on the product information part, which is called product group name. And in here, the users will be able to select the product groupings or groupings for which they want to conduct the analysis. If we go to the next slide, please. So once the user has selected an entry, in the dashboard, they will be able to see the related information, the AERs belonging to this product group name. So the data will be aggregated for the relevant product group name. And if we go to the next slide, please. In here, you will be able to see how this information will be displayed for the signal detection with two RORs, up-to-date 1 and up-to-date 2, for the product hierarchy level related to the product group name. And you will be able to, as usual, change the level of the information using the relevant select here. So now I will, for the next part of the demo, I will go on to show you the developments that were done on the EV website. And for that, I need to share my screen. So if you bear with me for 1 minute, I will select the relevant screen. I will be conducting the demonstration on. Please, could you confirm that you can see my screen?
Yes, we can.
Thank you. So I will be doing the demonstration on the UAT system because this will allow me to show you all the different functionalities that have been developed with regards to draft AER. So draft AER, as I mentioned before, the minimum viable product went live at the beginning of the quarter. So I did a demo at the end of the previous quarter of the basic functionality. So I will just remind you how you can save a draft. So the only field that needs to be completed to enable the saving draft functionality is the VICH batch number. So once this field is completed, the users are able to save the draft AER. Then I will move on now to show you the enhancements that have been done to the draft AER functionality during this quarter. So when the system went live, the columns that were available for viewing here were the batch number, the creation date, and the product selection. During this quarter, we have included information on which is the user that created the relevant draft, and also the original received date column, which will enable to keep an eye, the users to keep an eye on the 30 days timeline for reporting adverse event reports. So it will be very useful to help with compliance of reporting. Once a draft has been saved, you can resume the draft by clicking on the pencil here. And if you already have some information on the Create and Send AER tab, as I had because I was just creating a draft previously, the system asks you to confirm whether you would like to discard the data that is already there and replace it with the draft that you are about to resume. So if you click Accept, then the draft has been moved to the Create and Send AER section, and in there you will be able to resume entering the information. So these are the functionalities related to draft AER that were developed from between quarter 1 and quarter 2 of 2023. Now, for the next part of my demo, I'm going to show you the enhanced functionalities for searching product information and VEDRA information on the Create and Send AER side of the application. So I will use the draft that we have created, and I will start with the product information. So I'm going to enter a new product. And the reason that this advanced search functionality has been created is that when the user selects a product, let's say, for example, we're going to type a product, sometimes there are many entries related to the product name, and it may be a bit difficult for the user to select the correct product using this view. So if this is the case, the user can click on this advanced search functionality. A pop-up window will open, and there are various criteria that the user can apply to be able to find the product that they are trying to search with. So, for example, we will use the same product that we were trying to search. And for the moment, we will just apply the product filter. And when you search, you can see various items of information related to the product. So, for example, you can see the full product name here. Then you can see the target species. And if there is more than one species, if you hover over the name, you will see the full information as displayed below. You can see the marketing authorization holder, the registration identifier, authorization country. This is test data, so obviously not all the information is completed here in UAT, but in production you will be able to see the full information, such as also the authorized pharmaceutical form and the ATC vet code. It is possible to apply further filters, like, for example, if you are interested in the product for horses, you can select the relevant species here, and the data will be restricted to the products authorized in horses. Then to select the product, the user will click on the line relevant to the product name, and the information will be populated in the report. One functionality on the pop-up that is not yet implemented in the UAT, it has been implemented in test. As you can see here, when I clicked outside the box to close the window, we have implemented a further functionality which is still being tested, which is the close button. So the users will be able to use this button to close the pop-up window. So this is the advanced search functionality, which, as I mentioned, is being tested at the moment and will be deployed in production shortly once the UAT of the improvement functionality, such as the close button, has been completed. And now I will move on to the enhanced Vetadata search functionality. So now when you click to select a Vetadata term, previously the users were only able to see the low-level Vetadata term, and we had a request to include also the full Vetadata hierarchy to enable the users to select the correct term. For example, there are terms, I will use abscess as an example. There are very similar low-level terms which belong to different SOC levels, to different categories. So to enable the selection of the correct Vetadata term, you will be able to see here the full hierarchy, and this will allow you to choose the right option with regards to the case that you are reporting. So these are the developments that I wanted to show for the adverse event reporting form. Thank you very much, and I am available to answer any questions that you may have now.
So thank you very much, Laura. Let's go and see if we have some questions. So for now, we don't have any questions. So I would like to remind, while we are waiting for people, if they have questions, you can also go in the plenary room to leave us some words. How did you find the system demo of today? So before you leave that system demo, as we arrive at the last product. And Laura, thank you very much. I think we are out of questions. And we arrive at the time to leave the Slido open. So it will be open for until tomorrow evening. You can leave us your feeling in the plenary room with 2 or 3 words. And I think we give rendezvous to everyone the 21st of September for the Q3 system demo. And I wish you all a good day, and to all the presenters, thank you very much for your demo.